Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the 63rd edition of the Comicsgate Commandos. We're very excited to be here tonight. It's been a pretty good week, pretty cool stuff. I had a conversation with somebody. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my chair here. I had a conversation with a gentleman in Comicsgate about Phenomenal Tales number 2, which is now underway. And I'm very, 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 very excited for you guys to see what that all looks like, but all in due time. Obviously, we're going to be focusing on Phenomenon for the rest of the week. And then we're gonna go ahead like that. Anyway, let me bring on my co-host for that. Thanks for fucking ruining my intro, Jamie. Golly fuck. Okay, here we go. Hold on, you're not first. Carbon Heart, what's up, man?
Hail, General Q. We're
How
back. Hail, chat. Yeah, the intros always go well, Patrick.
Usually, I don't know. She distracted me. That's what it is.
We're off to a good start. But yes, Hail CG, we're back. It's already the end of May, Memorial Day coming up this weekend.
Crazy.
What are you doing for Memorial Day, Patrick?
Well, I have the day off normally, so I was just gonna, because it's gonna be right after Phenomenon closes, so I'm just gonna be, putting things into print, cards, prints, comics, that kind of thing.
What about for R&R? For downtime.
I mean, like I've got a weird schedule, so I'll have had a lot of days off leading up to that point, so I'll have R&R'd enough, if you will. It'll be back to work, I got to get back to work. I know. Maybe my mom and dad might invite me over to their place. We'll see.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
You sound a little sarcastic there. No. What are you doing? What are you doing for Memorial Day, Carbon?
Well, I'm not going on a wild adventure, but summer's coming. We got beaches all around. We got barbecues. We got pools. I'm at the point where pretty much I'm happy being at a backyard with a pool and having a barbecue. Like that's fine with me. That's all I need.
Yeah. Actually, now that you say that, I was invited to a pool party on Sunday, so I may or may not attend that. Depends on what time I wake up. But all right, let me bring on my second co-host for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Frederick Uman.
Is this mic on? Is the right camera pointing?
Yes.
All good. All set. Awesome.
Turn it down like 15%.
15% coming up. While I do that, nice to see you, Commandos.
Yes, sir. You too.
An incredible day. Started with no internet. And then the internet came on, and then Bitcoin hit an all-time high of 110,000 US dollars.
Wow.
New world record.
So your what's the word? Your books are looking really nice right about now, huh?
It's catching on. Let's say Texas is in the final stage of passing laws to protect the code. So no wrongful laws like limiting Bitcoin will be passed there because there's a lot of mining happening in Texas. I don't know if you know this, but it's huge down there. They got huge mining rigs operating down there. It's very big in Texas. I got to put on some pants sleeping psychopathy. Listen.
Well, as long as your other camera is off, you're good to go.
I can't make any promises. You'll just have to watch very closely throughout the show.
Very, very closely. Why? His skirt ain't good enough?
Wrangler, NDA. You're not supposed to talk about that stuff.
Oh man. Well, let's say hello to the chat, shall we? We've got Frederick right here. We got Hansel Hauser with 3 army hats, very nice indeed. And then he does the swords and the tree, very cool. We've got Adam Weber with 3 trees. I still don't understand what the trees are about, but Salty says, "Let's go!" What's up, Salty? Thanks for being here, man. We've got Immortal Rising Comics. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, Aaron.
We've got Sleeping Psychopathy. I should have just ignored her. You know what I mean? She just wants attention. That's all. We've got Flatey. He says, man, this guy's always late. Must be taken after Shane. Sheesh. What do you mean always late? I've been late like 3 times.
Listen, he needs to put on the makeup before the show so his nose doesn't shine. It takes time.
Technically, no, those were intros. We were not late. We always do those intros.
Right. Oh, we always do those intros. The show started at 7:30 and there were intros. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you guys talking about? Jimmy the Lumberjack. What's up, man? How you doing? Let's go, he says. Hello, sir. We got Belmont Press. What's up, dude? Hey, everyone. Wrangler says a whole lot of hola.
Hola,
Yes,
Wrangler.
sir. We have Art Haida saying, later than a woman having a shotgun wedding. That's actually pretty good. That's good.
That's pretty
And
good, yeah.
who else? Oh, we got Michael Ferraro. He says, hail Commandos and hail the freaking chat. What's up, man? Nice to see you. And I think that is everybody. I reject this notion. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. I totally reject that notion. Get out of here. Well, there was something I wanted to go over with you guys before we get into the meat of the matter. I honestly don't know what happened here. And please, somebody, please explain this to me, because I saw this and was like, what the fuck? All right, here we go. Sound on? Good. Oh my God.
That looked like it hurts.
He ceased to exist.
Yeah.
Always
say the
wear your
least.
protective glasses, folks.
Oh my gosh.
I wonder if
Well,
you had insurance.
There's 2 things here. There's
He's a gone.
I saw this actually on Twitter. And there's 2 things. It's FAFO, fuck around and find out. And then there's also DEI. At this point, every error at work, I blame on DEI.
So is that we think that was a woman there?
Well, clearly, not necessarily, but I don't know, man. I mean,
Woo!
at the same time, things
With the hard
happen.
hat.
Truth be
You see
told.
the hard hat? Watch.
Yeah, man. He's
Oh
fucked.
my God.
It's pretty crazy the blast that happened there, dude. That was like
Oh
a
my God.
cannon.
Yeah. What's up, Skelly? He says, oh, fuck, that dude dead. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, the thing
I'm
is,
not laughing at
at-
his death. I'm just laughing at the comedic nature of it. Sorry.
shit happens, bro. Like when you're doing a physical job where there's risk and there's intense physical forces at play, yeah, people die. And a lot of people forget that, like there's deaths on these jobs.
Oh, yeah. 1 minute there. The next minute gone. It's 1 sec. It's literally 1 second. Oh, there it is. The moment right there. That's the moment. Goodness gracious. Hail Rosario. Hail Rosario. What's up, man? How you doing? Yes, yes. Yes, indeed. There's also some Metal Gear Solid Delta stuff, but I don't know if the chat is all about that. I mean, it seems like every time I bring Metal Gear up, they're like, move on.
You can save that to the end of the show.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're here tonight to talk about our favorite comic book runs of all time. I do have some pictures, but I have to download them from my email. But yeah, there's, a million different things that we could all talk about. I'm going to save some time and like kind of cheat here and say I have a few, but I'm just going to go ahead and say that the Stan Lee Jack Kirby run is by a large margin my favorite comic book run of all time. And I think it's still, maybe it's been beaten by the guy who does The Walking Dead, but I'm pretty sure that it's still like the longest artist writer run ever. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But it was a long, like about 120 or something issues or so that went on for.
Wow, what is that, like 12 years?
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Well, that's 10. That would be 10 years if it came out monthly. What's up, Squid? How you doing, man? Nice to see you. It's been a while. So let's see here. If you guys have pictures, like Carbon, if you've got pictures you want to share about your first one, I gotta download these pictures real quick. So I don't have to share everybody.
I can pull mine out
yeah, I guess,
right here if you want.
Either one of you can start.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to go. I got my first one.
All right. Hit us.
This time around, I actually saved the images to my computer. So let's see if this makes a difference. Here we go. So everyone knows I'm a Batman fan. Batman is my number one favorite character in comic IP. And clearly there's a bunch of great runs within the Batman series, and I like all the the ones that are known, the famous ones, and some lesser known. But this one, I had to admit, to me was notable and standout, and I had to mention it on the show because I feel like it's underappreciated. I never hear people mentioning No Man's Land. You know what I'm saying, right? Nobody says No Man's Land. And the funny thing is that the movies, the Nolan trilogy, Batman Begins and Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, they actually reference things within this run, and they were influenced by it very clearly in the choices that they made in the story arcs, especially in Batman Begins and in Dark Knight Rises, pretty directly. But anyway, this came out in '99. And for anyone who doesn't know, actually, I'm assuming most of the chat probably doesn't know this run. It lasted for about a year or so, a year and a half. A total of 80 issues across all the Batman books, though. So it was Batman, Detective Comics, Shadow of the Bat, even the new Batgirl series that was spawned from it. I think like all Robin as well. So like across like 6 or 7 books series, they had issues within this run. But the concept was pretty much Gotham City becoming a closed off war zone as a result of cataclysms occurring, starting out with an epidemic, a contagion that killed off population, causing a bit of an upset there, and then an earthquake which destroyed much of the city, and then it led to the city needing to be closed off. So they shut down all the bridges, and then the city became kind of like Gaza. Gaza is closed off, it's like self-contained, and people need to fend for themselves. So the government, cut off all not communication, but transactions between the city and the rest of the country, and it became a war zone and people needing to fend for themselves. So right off the bat, you can tell that
sounds a little bit like Arkham City, the game, like where the city's kind of locked down for a prison.
Exactly. And they did that at the end of Batman Begins, where a portion of the city got closed off. Right? They called it the Narrows, the downtown city area. They closed off the bridge, and then it got flooded with that, that fear toxin. So people had to fend for themselves. But what was very impressive about this book, I remember when it first came out, actually, I was with it when it came out from the beginning, is that it was so like true to life in terms of being grounded. Like it started out with people like first-hand accounts of citizens in Gotham having to actually survive. Like, you imagine what would happen if everything's cut off. There's no trucks coming in. Food production, is like, the stores are emptied out, what would you do? So now this is even more relevant post COVID, right? Like a lot of us can relate to this more so now, if you were to look back and read it. And then what happened in the city is that, and I love this aspect of it, all of the major villains in the Batman, mythos, they ended up becoming gang leaders, essentially, where each gang gained a territory in the city. Like literally, it turned into tribal warfare where the gangs owned certain blocks and had to, control their own inventory of commodity. The police department turned into their own gang as well, right? Because then the police, they have their own loyalty, and so they're essentially a gang against Two-Face, for example, had his own gang. Penguin had his own gang. And at first, Batman actually is nowhere to be found because prior to this occurrence, he's out of the city, so then he couldn't get into Gotham. So it's really epic the way they reintroduce him into the story, where it's like, okay, he becomes kind of like a boogeyman once again. If you know what I mean, because the fact that like the city is now on a more feral state. Go ahead.
I must be on a delay or something.
I have some other images. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, one of us is on a delay. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to restart. It's probably me. So I'm going to restart my computer.
It's probably me.
You think so?
I'm not sure because when I talk, it looks live. But Frederick, tell me, let's see, respond to me, Frederick.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, it was pretty instantaneous. So
don't worry about it. But
keep talking. Keep talking.
This is the Batgirl character that was introduced in this run, which is an awesome character design. This is not Barbara Gordon. And this is another thing. This character has been underutilized. Oh, Sleeping Psychopathy is saying it's me. I have a delay.
We'll let you keep talking for a bit, and then when you want to take a break, then you can restart your computer, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, let me just I'll wrap up my my description of the run. But anyway, yeah. This Batgirl character was awesome. Love the costume design. She was introduced during this run. And yeah, I mean, pretty much, long story short, the No Man's Land, I don't know if I'm delaying, because when I click, it's pretty immediate on the StreamYard. But anyway, I highly recommend anybody to check out the collective volumes of these.
Well, I mean, okay, so so is this like where the Bat family kind of got a lot bigger?
Yeah, to a degree, because if you think about it, this came out in '99, and by this point, there wasn't that much of a collection of everybody coming together. So in this picture, you could see Huntress to the far right. She was introduced in the mid-90s. And then to the far left, you have the new Batgirl, Cassandra Cain. And then Nightwing also, I believe, was introduced in the 90s. So this was kind of the first big arc in the 90s that had a large Bat family. Yeah, so you're right about that. And in a sense, they had to become their own gang to be able to defeat what was happening in the city being overrun by crime.
And who was the writer of this? And were there different artists, or was there just one artist?
Oh, there was a ton of artists on this. Yeah, like I said, it was 80 issues across like 6 books or so. 6 different series, I mean. And Yeah, but the main creator was Gorfinkel for the concept, but then there was several writers that interplayed within it. But it was pretty impressive how they pushed it forward. And if you were to read the collective volumes, it's awesome how it progresses from Gotham being pretty much like a war zone into gradually gaining order once again through the police department and then Batman coming back and establishing some peace essentially.
And because this is actually one of the things I've never read about Batman. I've never read this run at all. Does it completely wrap up at the end, and does it like Gotham go back to being not? Does it go back to being open to the world, or what happens in that regard?
Yeah, essentially because order is reestablished with the police department and Batman, they're able to have it be the crime gets under control and commodities are are more established and traded, and so the government opens it up back again, and the bridges are reopened and whatnot. So it is pretty fascinating actually if you think about it, because you consider what would happen if your own city got shut down, the power grid got turned off, and nothing's coming in and out. What would you have to do? That's what made this so cool to me.
Yeah, that is a great concept. I got to check that. I got to find a way to get this. Hopefully there's like a full omnibus collection. Is that Bane with a machine gun?
Hey.
That's another cool aspect. The fact that every villain has like an appearance in this run is really cool, because like everybody has a moment in it, and yeah, it's collected. I think it's 2 books because it's really big, because with 80 issues that comes out to like 1,600 pages or so. So I think it's 2 omnibuses. But at the very least, check out the first volume. If you don't want to spend the money, just get the first volume, like the trade paperback, for $20, and I guarantee you'll be hooked. Actually,
well, yeah, most Batman comics I've ever read have always been really, really good. I don't think I've ever read a Batman comic that I was like, this is bullshit. But then again, I'm not as big a Batman fan as some of you guys, so maybe there's things in it. That's a fucking sick cover. What?
Yeah. So it turns out Batman and Bane, they ended up having to team up.
Oh,
because
man.
once Joker forms it was sick. And once Joker formed his own gang and gained control, like the stakes got higher. And so yeah, Batman actually teams up with Bane. It's awesome, bro.
That actually, I feel like this is like the biggest inspiration for Arkham City and Arkham Knight, because you team up with Bane in Arkham City as well because of
it is
kind of similar
definitely
situations. And are there any like deaths in this?
Think about the Dark Knight, right? Of major characters, I don't think any major character dies. No, I don't remember any major character dying. But I was about to say the Dark Knight Rises, the 3rd movie of the Nolan trilogy, pretty much takes this exact concept, because Bane took over the city, remember, and closed it off. But they did it in a very sloppy manner, and it was very rushed in the movie. I have to admit, even though I liked the movie, it happened too quickly. Where it's like all of a sudden, like, oh, we closed off the city very easily with a gang of 12 guys. Like,
right.
It makes more sense in the
We caught every cop in the underground. Every single one of them.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense in the movie. But it's the same concept, but more realistic in the comic.
By the way, just from the conversations we've been having, I can tell that it's me who's late, who's behind here, and it's streaming through my computer, so that might be a contributing factor as well. So I will drop out in a second here and come back. Before I do that, though, Art Haida says you should read the recent stuff, Pat. Watch Bruce getting his shit pushed in by Bane, only for girl boss Catwoman to take him out. You'll yell bullshit real quick. Is that the absolute stuff, Art? Is that what you're talking about? You didn't watch it, Squid? How could you not have watched it?
Yeah.
Man? Everybody watched
Fuck
it.
that.
I got some recent Batman here as well. So in this one, he teams
nice.
up with the Joker, and this is drawn and written by Mark Silvestri. I think
Nice.
or maybe have had help on the story, but I'll get into it when it's my turn because this is actually the punchline to my favorite series.
Oh, perfect. Well, let me jump out and I'll come back really quick. Carbon, it's in your hands for the moment. Bye.
All right.
Yeah, so that was pretty much my entire spiel about about the No Man's Land series. Yeah, I mean, chat's kind of tripping me up because to me it seems like I'm on pace with you guys, right, Frederick?
Yeah, I mean, I hear you pretty fine, pretty good.
Yeah, no, and you responded to me like, yeah, right after I was done talking. So
yeah, it's instant.
I don't know. Anyway, might as well move forward. Yeah. So have you ever checked out No Man's Land?
I have not. I'm not a huge Batman fan, although I just showed one of the books I bought, but this is a recent purchase of mine. No, I was never like a huge DC fan at all. Like I bought a couple. I bought the whole, Bane saga where he breaks Batman's back, with written by Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan, drawing.
Yeah.
But I hardly have any other Batman except for that. That's pretty much my collection. I did go back and get Year One, but I haven't read through it yet. Like these are like books on my to read pile.
Yeah, well, those are I mean, Nightfall is the Bane breaking Batman's back run, and I was gonna bring that up maybe if we had time tonight, but I decided on No Man's Land over that because of the fact that a lot of people aren't familiar with it, and it's actually been very influential in the movies, but nobody's giving it credit, you know?
Yeah, I did not know that. Yeah, not well versed much in Batman, although I am getting into the games now, so that is pretty cool.
Wow. Crazy Cat says it sounds like Carbon's on delay, but maybe he's just slow in general.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, I'll admit
that's what makes his voice sound so low. It's because he's talking slower. It's a slow down.
Hey, look, I speak slowly. That's just the way I talk. But I'll have you know I have a high IQ, so there's no way I'm slow.
Crazy Cat says the Arkham Asylum graphic novel by Grant Morrison and Dave McKean inspired the video game series, even if DC won't admit that to avoid royalties. Fascinating. That sounds like one of the big two.
That one's a big painting. Like it's so intense graphically, that book.
Yeah, I have that book, and that was one of my most favorite Batman graphic novels. Yeah, and it definitely inspired. It's funny because the Nolan trilogy, they actually cited Christian Bale in an interview. He mentioned Arkham Asylum, that book by Grant Morrison, as well as Year One. So, it's obvious that starting from the 80s, the biggest arcs for the Batman series have influenced the films of late.
As they should. And it's a lesson that everybody trying to make a comic book movie should take. If you got a successful story already in print, why fix something that isn't broken? Wolf and Bear says, yeah, that's a good one. Hello, Wolf and Bear. Nice to see you, man. Thanks for being here. And then Art says, no, before Absolute, Pat, but Catwoman takes Bane head on. It's seriously the silly man. I'll show you how it's done cliche. That would never happen. I mean, Bane's not slow. You know what I mean? If Batman can land a hit on Catwoman, then Bane can land a hit on her. And if Bane lands one hit on her, it's over. So I don't know, but Carbon, what do you think about? I'm not the Batman aficionado, so I'm talking out my ass.
Bane versus Catwoman. I mean, pretty obviously Bane would win the fight. Yeah, there's no question there.
Let's see here. Okay, so Frederick, are you ready? You want to go?
Yeah, let's go. So my series, same artist that I just showed of the Batman series, but it's not Batman. It is Wolverine, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
So, and not just any Wolverine, the Mark Silvestri and Larry Hama run. So Larry Hama also wrote G.I. Joe famously, created the whole like mythos of G.I. Joe on over the toys and the characters that were created by the company. But Larry Hama is a good writer in his own right, also Vietnam vet. And this is the most beautiful comic book run I've ever seen. Drawn by Mark Silvestri at his prime, coming out of Uncanny X-Men. He's trying to imitate Jim Lee. That's what he says in interviews.
Huh.
But I like this better than Jim Lee because it's got more of a dynamism to it. It's inked by Dan Green, late Dan Green, who passed away a couple of years ago. But it's like Silvestri and Dan Green has kind of a like very dynamic inking style to it. It looks, I don't want to say sloppy, but loose over Silvestri's kind of tight pencils. And it's a perfect match. Perfect match. And they do a long run together. They famously hit the Wolverine number 50 here. And we're right in the midst of the saga of Wolverine's origin, which, famously, I got to mention Barry Windsor Smith and Weapon
Right.
X, which is a run in its own right. But I do want to shout out Mark Silvestri in this one. And this is my all-time favorite comic, like just for the pure joy, nostalgia, and coolness of it, because it's got a die-cut cover of Wolverine like slashing through the cover. So gimmick put to good use right there.
Sick.
And this is like Mark Silvestri at his prime. Seriously, he's coming in on a motorcycle up the stairs, and he's flirting in the elevator on his way to meet Nick Fury. And this is the 50th anniversary issue. It's like double sized. You got Hydra leaders, you got the X-Men making an appearance, and we dive into the actual movie studios that were used to program Wolverine's memories, because he was like mind fucked with like MK Ultra style, right? Mind control.
Man, this stuff is beautiful. I can't believe I've never read this run. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Mark Silvestri is my all-time favorite artist. It's just pure, and the women are so gorgeous. And he drew like Witchblade after this. He drew Cyberforce. So he's known for his beautiful women. And look at this. He like, not only does he capture like what Jim Lee has, it seems to me that he ups the ante a bit.
Yeah. I would say that. That's a weird, that's holy shit.
Right? Look at this. This is Shiva, man.
Shiva the Destroyer. Wow.
And then you got Wolverine fighting Shiva here. And of course he wins. But it takes him a little bit of time. And then
holy smokes.
Yeah, it's just the women are so gorgeous, dude. This is his American Indian girlfriend here. Native American.
Oh, ooh la la. How do I get me one of those? I'm sorry.
You gotta go to a casino.
Right?
You're right. I got to start gambling.
There's Wendake right near here. If you come up here, I'll bring you to a reserve. They got good game meat as well in some of the restaurants, which is illegal everywhere else. But
that's cool.
I want to bring it back to Batman here, since Carbon brought it up. And this is Mark Silvestri today. So Dan Green is no longer inking him. I think he's inking himself.
Whoa.
And this is his...
Dude, the art in this book is spectacular.
Dude, this guy is the best comic book artist alive, in my opinion.
Wow. So that is a bold statement right there.
Yeah, but I mean, it's personal, of course, but this is the stuff I love. Look at her, dude. Look at her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Every page in this book, it's a 6-issue run, but every page hits the mark.
Mark Silvestri.
I like that picture a lot right there. That whole spread on the last page. Although look at Catwoman, she looks gorgeous there. Good
Dude,
gracious.
it's like
That's a nice Batmobile too. It's a nice take.
everything is tip top. It's like he's got perfect anatomy, he's got perfect render, and it's got perfect dynamism as well. Like it's rare you see all of those things in one.
And it seems to be a very distinct style for him too.
Yeah. I mean, he was an artist who drew like monthly books, so he had to draw quick, and he really got in that style of getting those pages out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now he's got more time. So his buddy Jim Lee is now president or art director at DC, right?
Yeah.
So it's not hard to get a book when your best bud is. I think he's been offered.
So does he just kind of do whatever he wants whenever does he have his own series that he's doing and then does other things, or like what is Silvestri really doing these days?
So from what I understood, like ever since like both him and Todd McFarlane were kind of sick of doing comics when Image popped into their radar, and they founded Image along with the other guys, and because they were on the verge of, they needed a fresh start. And I think since then they've been doing what they want, right? Mark created Witchblade. Witchblade became a cartoon. It was like a hit back in the day. And he's got Cyberforce. So he can do pretty much what he wants. Like the guy is successful in life. But the fact that he has access to be able to do Batman with DC through Jim Lee is just, you know, it's just a natural extension of that. But he deserves it. I'm not saying this is preferential treatment. It's like, if anybody deserves a Batman book,
so
it's Silvestri.
That picture of Joker, though, go back to that, would you? Yes. What do you guys think about this? I think this is the only complaint I would say.
It looks a little bit like Jared Leto in this.
Yeah, it's the shaved side of the head thing. And maybe when he did this, what year did this come out?
I think this is recent. I think this is the.
This came out last year.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. But actually, it turns out that he's been working on this for like 4 or 5 years. It's the inception of this book started like 5 years ago. So that's also a commentary on everybody criticizing, you know, Comicsgate and artists taking a while to get something done. When you're creating something that looks this good, you're not going to shell it out like
and has a good meaningful story, you know.
Yeah.
No, you got to get those books out quickly, regardless of like printing mistakes and stuff. Just ship them out. That's
compare this to fucking Horseman or Horseman.
Yeah. This is look
at this shit. Look at this.
Your Honor.
Oh my God.
I rest my case.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Wow. That's also a really interesting take on Batman's costume. So, you know, he's got the gray and the blue, which is kind of classic, but he's gotten rid of the yellow, and he's replaced his utility belt's now black. The symbol on his chest is it looks a little sleeker, smoother. There's not those the modernized lines on things like you see on everybody's not that I personally dislike the line stuff on people's costumes, but it seems like he went for like, I don't know, it's somewhere right between retro and like modern.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It's more so retro, but just being shredded to death.
Yeah,
right. Like because it's a skin tight outfit, and then he's shredded beyond belief. Is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I'm just like the symbol. The bat symbol is a little more reductionist. I feel like maybe that's not the right word.
Yeah, it has the Nolan. It's a bit of the Nolan bat symbol, but a little bit sleeker.
It's simplified. It looks like the weapon, you know, the batarang. When it looks like a bat symbol, the symbol looks like a batarang at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And here you got Joker hopping into the Batmobile because now they have to work together.
And that, yeah, it's like a mix between classic Harley and modern Harley. Wow, good gracious.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Probably the
So-
best recent run of a comic for a while, right? Like within the last 3 years.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's like Nick Fury. Nice.
Yep, crossover. And this looks like Casino 38 in Fallout New Vegas.
It does, yeah. Wait, is that Slade Wilson?
With this guy with the eye patch?
Yeah.
Don't know. I haven't read it yet.
You just been looking at the art?
I just got it a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I know that you see some of these guys, these artists who are like, you're like, what's the book about? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I just thought the art was cool. It's like, wait, you didn't read it?
Totally me. That's totally me. I've been buying books for the art like since I was 16, and I don't think it's changed much. I mean, it has changed in Comicsgate a lot. Like now I buy the art a lot for connecting with the author a lot of times.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I've been totally an art guy, and Silvestri is my art guy. Look at this.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
You could almost just do this in black and white and call it a day.
Oh yeah,
I think they actually released a black and white. They released a black and white version of this because of how detailed the art was.
Yeah, and the values are like super well distributed as well, so it would totally fit perfectly in black and white.
Amazing.
Incredible. So Mark Silvestri, check it out, everybody. Wolverine run with Larry Hama, Dan Green inking. I think that's the peak Mark Silvestri.
What's the name of the Wolverine run?
I mean, he starts at Wolverine number 34, and he runs up through 50, and it ends shortly after 50. And then,
So there's no name to the arc, though.
Not that I know of, because it brings in Sabretooth. You've got this little like robot kid girl who's also like a bomb. She's got like C4 built inside of her and there's a robot Wolverine that brings in. So I wouldn't know what the name of the arc is, but it builds up to the origin story in the number 50.
Sounds like it should be called the Well-Advised arc, considering you'd be well advised to go read it.
I recommend it highly.
We got B.A. Turner here. He says, "Hail, jabronis." What's up, B.A.? How you doing, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Let's see here. I missed. Art says, "I'll throw my eggplant in the ring." the Green Lantern run that retired Hal / introduced Kyle Rayner. Emerald Twilight / New Dawn. After that, Kyle goes on a journey where anything goes because new planets and aliens. Have you guys read that one? Have you seen that one before?
Nope.
Art, who is the artist and writer? I confess, you guys will talk about DC stuff. I don't know anything about. I literally like the only DC books I ever read were Batman stuff. Like I've read some good bits of Batman, not entire runs, but like individual comics. And then I tried to read Superman. What is it? Brand New Day or something with Frank Quietly. And I found his art to be boring. Crazy Cat says, "Holy shit, I just checked on Amazon. They're selling the big oversized absolute hardcover edition of Arkham Asylum for $54. It's $100 at cover price, but often more as it's often out of print. Dude, you got to snag it. Snag it up." I mean, seriously, like anytime I see those runs that are usually like $120, the big omnibuy, I'm just like, give me that. If it's less than like $80, because you'll be reading that thing for forever, and then you can give it to your kids, and I mean, it's amazing stuff. They have regular paperback editions too, but I should thank you because I've wanted that oversized absolute edition for forever. If you don't get it, I might just grab it myself because I'd like to read that. That'd be cool. He's wondering if I wonder if lack of sales is making people liquidate their stock. Huh. That would be something. But it seems like DC's kind of turning over a new leaf, at least in comparison to Marvel. From what I see from DC fans looking at the stuff DC's doing these days, they seem more pleased with that than with what Marvel fans see from Marvel. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
Well,
Well,
it's yeah. Go ahead, Frederick.
I was going to say that there's this the new company coming out like that are taking on Spider-Man for Marvel. They're also doing like Transformers. What's it called? Skyline or something like that. The one that did the GI Joe reprint, which used to be a Marvel title, and now they're the ones who are publishing it. So I think they're the ones that are making interesting stuff. From what I hear, Marvel's still a mixed bag. There might be a couple of good books out there, but I think a lot of stories still suffer from the old school, the old SJW writing. I don't think that's gone yet.
Yeah.
When you compare what's been happening in the last 5 years or so with the whole wokeness and everything being gay, there have been more Marvel stories that have been made gay as opposed to DC. I mean, DC still has some, but the Trinity, for example, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, they keep that intact because they know that, like, they cannot make Batman gay. Like, the day they make Batman gay, they might as well shut their doors and turn off their lights.
They made his son gay.
But you saw their attempt at like implying it, though, didn't you? Didn't you see that?
I saw, the implication in one book that came out a couple of years ago. I forgot the name of it, but it's funny because even with that, they had to it was very subtle, but they didn't go too far because they knew that if they went too far, it'd be like everyone would be done.
Tell me if you heard this one.
But
Batman, they thought they wanted to make Batman black at some point, and I heard the shop owners like fought back against that, and they were like, "No way, Batman is our bread and butter. If you do something woke like that, it's gonna."
Well, they did make there was an alternate series. I'm not remembering the name, but there was a series where Batman was black, and I think it actually died off really quickly because nobody cared. Obviously, but I mean, both DC and Marvel, they're doing DEI stuff. Marvel probably a little more though, for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah,
yeah, they got their X-Men who have their gala, like their fashion gala every year. They have this.
Oh my gosh,
issue where they're all like dressed gay and fancy.
Hold that thought. I want to get back to that, but I also want to catch up with the chat here. Yeah, that's far better than Eric's misprints, in which Eric dismisses the entire run of a misprint being a purposeful creation of a collectible comic. Dude, oh my God. Like, I can't, like, and the sheer condescension that comes from him when he addresses this subject.
Misprints were valuable because they were rare.
Right.
They would, as soon as they spotted a misprint, they would stop it. And they tried to get rid of them. And if you found one, they were rare. You could prove, this is a unique misprint. Not the whole run. The whole book is a misprint. That's not collectible. That's a joke.
Your character has to be interesting and cool and be popular enough already to warrant that level of popularity. So it's like this. If Zaylan doesn't take off and it ends up being like a dead product, your misprint is not a collectible anymore. It's just a waste of people's money. I mean, at that point, if nobody cares about the character, then your little collectible issue of it is still going to be worth nothing at all. So
yeah, you also can't call it a collectible as soon as it comes out because nobody gives a shit yet.
Dude,
right?
This guy is exactly. He's talking about collectibles. He's talking about CGC, and he doesn't even know what Amazing Fantasy number 15 is. It's like, what a joke. Like, he talks about the collector market as if his book is straight out of collectible before it's out, but he doesn't even understand the market deeper than the surface.
No.
Surface level stuff.
Yeah,
it's a joke.
Well, he's doing, it's weird. He's like the opposite of Marvel and DC. Well, I can only really speak for Marvel. The opposite of Marvel, where it's like Marvel said, we don't care at all about making money. We only care about the message. The Marxist message. And so they're losing about a lot of money. He's the opposite, where he doesn't care about any aspect of the art or anything like that. He only cares about the business side of things. And he thinks that that's what they're doing wrong. And that's what is going to make his company successful. But he doesn't care about the art. And so because the only thing he's focusing on is the business, and he thinks that's the way he's going to be successful, the art suffers. And it's not just the people he's hired, some of whom are eyebrow raising, to put it nicely. You have to have a vision, a consistent vision, and at least the editors over at Marvel and DC have vision. They've worked in the industry long enough to know, okay, this kind of stuff works, this kind of stuff doesn't work. He doesn't have artistic vision, and so he's incapable of providing a framework for the Rippaverse. So now, and then he gets, he staffs people who aren't really all that good. I mean, the best two people he's hired are Mike Baron and Chuck Dixon, if you ask me.
Yeah, but even then, he hasn't gotten their best work out of them either. Like him, like taking the lead and guiding them towards their books. I don't think he's giving them a fighting chance in his Rippaverse.
Well, the thing is, here's the biggest contradiction with his business. He's trying to combine the crowdfunding aspect that's happened in the last several years, where creators are making bigger books for more money, right? But he's trying to combine that with a faster producing company, right? Because now he has multiple series, and he's trying to say, okay, we're going to produce faster, but you have to lower the prices, right? Mm-hmm. If you're going to make faster books, smaller books, now you're emulating, the print runs of Marvel and DC. But here's the thing: the stories and the series have to be ones that people want to buy continually. And so far, he hasn't gripped anybody with these series. So it's almost like it's doomed to fail, right? Because once he gets to the point where he's making smaller books at a lower price more frequently, nobody's going to care about these series, and it's just going to die off completely.
Yeah. And I don't know. Everything that he's put out has been like Isom. Honestly, Isom was the closest he ever got to doing something interesting. Everything else looks like incredibly generic, incredibly not unique. There's nothing interesting or special about any. Like Zaylin, the name is boring. The design is atrocious. The character design is atrocious. Like, I've got, oh my God, talk about like making a silhouette that like grabs people, or making a distinctive symbolic costume. There's nothing interesting about that character whatsoever.
No, it all sucks, man. There's no soul behind it. And you know what he did? He put the cart before the horse at the end of the day, because it's like, I'll compare it to the music industry, right? Mm-hmm. A label is not going to invest in the band until they actually have a hit single, right? Because every band that's an indie band, they need to keep grinding until they make a song that everyone knows is a hit, right? And everyone knows it because once you play it live and everyone's into it, like, okay, this is our hit, then a label invests in you, right? So the money comes in after we know it's a cash cow. He's putting the money in now before anything hits. Nothing has hit yet, right?
Except for Larry Shungite. I would buy that comic. 100%. Just as a lull.
Dude, Shungite could save his company.
Dude, but seriously though, it's sad, but it's actually true. If he came out with a Larry Shungite comic book, half of Comicsgate would be like, fuck yeah, and we'd buy it.
Yeah, it's going to be his dead. I predict it now. It's going to be his dead cat bounce. He's going to wait until everything is doomed to do it. Then he's going to get a interest in it, and then it's going to be the final whimper of the Rippaverse.
Oh my God, it'd be so funny.
I kid you not. I actually
when they
would
introduce
buy
him, they've got two
one.
pages of the entrance from which he enters, but like the first shot is nothing. And then you turn the page, like, oh yeah, he's gonna come out of the entrance on the second page. No, it's like still nothing. So he doesn't walk out until the very. Oh my God.
I mean, if there is a Shungite comic, I expect like double page spreads on the wrong side of the page and everything.
please, I would still buy it. Like if he was like, yeah. So what it is we did a lot of artistic choices here, and like he just showed like a bunch of unadulterated bullshit, but it's all Larry Shungite. I'd still buy it.
If I were him, I wouldn't admit to any mistake, and I would just double down and make all double page spreads that way until.
Please, that'd be so funny. That's the kind of thing he like. If he did that, if he right now stopped all his condescending bullshit, his gaslighting bullshit, where he literally never once accepts an ounce of criticism or takes responsibility for anything that he did, anything at all. If he just was like, if he stopped talking about all that and then came out with a Larry Shungite book where he like purposefully does all of the goofs and gaffes that he's performed over the last 2 or 3 years, it's been like, he could actually maybe win back a lot of people.
To do that, you need self-awareness.
I know.
Wait a minute.
You need to be able to laugh at yourself.
The chat is saying that Shungite is being written by the Saska sisters in the anthology.
Well, they were going to do a WWE style story, but are you sure it's actually Larry Shungite? I mean, this character is very important to me. You know, I have to. It's got to be Larry.
That would be a bet.
They're going to race swap.
They should not put him in an anthology. He needs his own book.
Yes.
I need Shungite number one.
Right.
Shungite number one will be the cultural landmark of the coming year, dude.
Oh man. Squid says if Eric was smart, he'd come up with character names that aren't retarded. Yeah, I don't even.
No, you misunderstood him. The retardedness is the marketing. See, we all fall into his trap and market the shit out of his books, and everyone buys it not because they like it; they buy it to piss us off. That's the whole business model,
right? Well, you know, you're not actually. You may be being slightly sarcastic there, Frederick, but you're actually kind of not wrong. Like the Rippaverse fans at this point, there is kind of a level of like. I think it's a combined level of they would feel stupid if they were to admit that it's all bullshit. And also they want to stick it to people like us in Comicsgate. So they're going to buy the book. You know what I mean? Like it's a hatred buy instead of like actually, oh, I like this stuff. I want to buy it because I like it.
Yep. It's a 2D chess move. Or checkers.
If Eric was smart, his cult wouldn't watch him. Oh man, stop justifying the existence of Sturgis. A couple comments from earlier here. Marvel fucked up by selling to Disney. Disney fucked them hard. I feel like it was already. How would I put it? Yes, there are bigger companies that expedite process, but Marvel was already going down the dark path.
Agreed.
They
missed their opportunity when their movies were successful. They should have pushed the comics to the movie audience. They did the opposite. All their stories, all their characters were as different as you could imagine from what they were in the movies, which is the dumbest move they ever did.
When Doctor Strange came out, go ahead, Carbon.
They could have literally reprinted all their greatest runs.
Yes.
Into new trade paperbacks in the 2000s.
Hand them out at the movies. Have them for
when all those movies came out, dude. That would have been a cash cow, man.
Yeah.
All those books, reprint them with new colors too, right? Refresh it from the newsprint, from the the Golden Age and Silver Age. Fucking, it would have made a new generation of comic fans. Instead, we got Obama. Obama liberals destroyed culture in post 2008.
Yeah.
2008 to 2016 was a big destruction of American culture.
Yeah. I think it really started hitting Marvel for me personally in 2012. That's when I started noticing certain things. But Wrangler says Ultimate Spider-Man has some pretty good word of mouth. Yes, it does. I know a lot of people don't like Brian Michael Bendis because he's very liberal. Actually, this is one of my favorite comic book runs of all time. The Bendis Bagley Ultimate Spider-Man. I love that comic.
Really,
I like a lot of the Ultimate stuff, to be honest with you.
I grew up when Bagley got on Amazing Spider-Man. That's my first run. Like I think one of his first comics on that was like a Sentinel run. Nova was in the story. I remember that. And he's not my favorite Spider-Man artist, but like he was able to make good comics.
Yeah.
He's a good artist.
If you could control Todd McFarlane and be like, stop doing these weird layouts and like just draw well, but stop doing these weird, like these crazy, like incomprehensible layouts. We talked about this on Saturday or last week, maybe. If you can kind of control it, like reel him in a bit and also do not let him write the story, then Todd McFarlane would probably be like the Michelini McFarlane Spider-Man run. I completely forgot about that, actually. That's amazing. No pun intended.
What kind of contraption or device would you conjure up to be able to control Todd McFarlane?
Right. I don't know. Drugs, some sort of drug. But yeah, he in my mind, since I was a kid, because I've always, like the classic image of him pulling the web. Oops.
Oh
God.
yeah.
You know that one? That's
Spaghetti
like
webbings, yeah.
And the web, the web just it's so cool the way he draws webs.
And he gets strong reactions out of people. I hated McFarlane the first times I saw him. When I saw his first Spider-Man books, I was like, this guy can't even draw an enemy. What's he doing? He's doing the craziest things. He's breaking all the rules. And the more I started Spider-Man looking into it, the more I loved it. Yeah.
I mean, McFarlane, he's lucky that he discovered Spider-Man. I mean, not that he obviously he didn't start, but you know what I'm saying? Like, because if it weren't for Spider-Man, I don't think McFarlane would have become what he became.
I agree with you.
Like, Spider-Man worked so well for him.
Yeah, but he had a good run on Hulk as well. Like his Hulk was really good.
Yeah, but his Hulk, I would say, is overshadowed by Dale Keown's, if you ask me.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm not just saying that, I'm talking, just because Dale's in Comicsgate. I mean, it's just like Carbon. I think what Carbon maybe is trying to say, but correct me if I'm mistaken, Carbon, is that his McFarlane's style fits so perfectly with Spider-Man that it like opened people's eyes up to him as being this really great artist.
Yeah, and he wouldn't have become known the way he is known now if it weren't for the property of Spider-Man. It was a perfect union of that type of character with the style that he fell into. And honestly, like other than Spider-Man though, I'm not really interested in anything else he does. Not to sound harsh, but like that's where he works. Like it works well with Spider-Man.
I don't know, man. Like I'm going to quote some Spider-Man here to justify other stuff than Spider-Man, but he did a pretty mean Wolverine when he cameoed in the Spider-Man story. He draws some other characters. Like his most famous cover is the Wolverine cover. Yeah, it's just Wolverine's pulling out his 3 claws, and then you see Hulk I think it's a Hulk cover actually, but you got Wolverine on it, and that's iconic classic nowadays. Yeah. But he's good beyond. No, I'm going to push back.
Yeah, on that. I'm not saying he can't draw other characters well. Obviously, he can. But if you think about it in terms of what's like lasting, in terms of like a chunk of his work, it really is mainly his Spider-Man work.
100%.
And Spawn. Yeah, Spawn. We know about Spawn. I'm not ignoring Spawn, but but
Spider-Man is bigger. Yeah. I saw an article that came out, I think last week or something like that, and they were talking about Todd McFarlane, and like the descriptive after that was artist on Spider-Man. So despite having his own toy company, his movie based on his own character, longest running independent comic book, none of that matters in the mainstream. He was an artist on Spider-Man. That is what sticks. So
I mean, it made him. It made him pretty much is what it is.
Kind of doubling back here a little bit. DC fucked up by allowing the CW to make their shows. Everything turned to shit within a couple seasons of Flash. That Flash CW show, my little brother loved that show. He watched that and the Arrow show. When I'd walk by and see him watching Arrow, I was like, oh, okay, not my shtick. I think Green Arrow and I think Hawkeye. They're both super lame. The only cool version of an arrow shooting guy is when Bullseye takes over for Hawkeye. That's fucking sick. But anyway, the CW Flash show was, it's one of those things where my little brother loved it so much, and he was like, "It's so good," and I would like walk by and be like, "This is trash," and I didn't want to shit on his things that he liked, So
The helmet looked terrible in the costume, right?
well, I mean, just the whole it was kind of like that teeny bopper rom-com, not rom-com, but like romance. It was just this like, ugh,
Yeah.
like, ugh, I don't know how to describe it. Just really not good drama instead of just like the flat.
No.
I mean, anyway. The Squid says, artists becoming wealthy and appreciated while they are alive is literally a CIA psyop created to influence the USSR during the Cold War. Artists are weird. They aren't meant to live comfortably. I would agree in the sense that, yeah, I mean, they're like, normally speaking, your genius isn't recognized until you're already gone.
No lies detected.
Yeah.
Well,
no, I'd like to learn more about this, them being wealthy and appreciated being a psyop. I'd love to learn more about that. I don't know anything about that.
I would agree with it being a psyop because of the fact that it is a fantasy and it's like an illusion presented. I don't know about the whole influencing the USSR. I don't see how that connects, but I do know that the fantasy of the music industry and Hollywood in general, and like the whole like, oh yeah, and we got these like superstars. That's a psyop for the American people at the very least. Yeah,
100%. Everybody who's not familiar with the way the music industry works, you have to understand, like, it is actually not the people who are super good at their instruments and write really cool, interesting, unique music who get successful. It's not. It's the people who toe the line. They've got and I was told this by record label people, like, you have to have everybody in the band, you have to have like a style that you all conform to, musically and the clothes you wear aesthetically. You have to kind of play this game where you pretend like you're successful until you are, the fake it till you make it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then they legitimize you by putting you in front of a bunch of people, and then you're suddenly famous and good. So this is like for example, Taylor Swift, for instance. Like, she's an incredibly untalented individual. I know there's a lot of people who disagree with me about this. I get that. Can she perform live? Yes, monkeys can fucking perform live.
She's universally, I think, fucking empirically, she's untalented, dude.
Right.
She can't sing. She can't dance.
Yeah, exactly.
She's
and
nothing.
The best writing she ever did was when she was like semi-country, because it was actually honest writing coming from her heart. Who knows how much it was edited by the record labels, which will do that. I mean, they have complete control over your soul pretty much when you sign with them. So anybody who's signed to a record label that they don't own themselves, you have to understand, like, that is a psyop. Maybe not CIA or government necessarily, although really it all comes back down to,
gee, and who owns those labels, Patrick?
Let's wow, this actually
it's a different kind of psyop.
Became very germane considering the picture I shared for tonight's show.
A small
Guys,
hat psyop.
I saw that, by the way. I was like, John Byrne is one of my favorite runs ever, and I was like going through the covers. I was like, I want to see a good cover to do for John Byrne, and I saw that one, the Hitler one, and I was like, I have to post that.
But let me just say one thing before we move on, because on that note about the music industry and bands and labels, I think we've went through the same experience, Patrick, where once you have a good band and you're solid and you start to meet managers, right? You see that this is a shit show. It's a pay for play gay op.
Precisely.
Here's my proof. I'll tell everybody. Take a look at the bands starting from the beginning of the 90s, right? Who were the bands on the radio that were known? Okay? And just follow along starting from 1990 through the rest of the 90s into the 2000s and through the 2010s. See if you could name off of memory who the biggest rock bands were starting from that time,
Mhm.
they get gayer and gayer as you move forward.
Yeah, or they
Oh,
And I'm not
yeah.
even fucking kidding you.
Yeah, it goes back to the 80s. Like the hair bands, they looked like women. They were putting makeup on, like Poison.
Mhm.
What's it called? Sisters, Twisted Sisters.
Well, that's why
What?
I still think to this day that the Seattle sound was the most honest expression of music that we have experienced in our lifetime. And I say that because
Yeah.
those guys were kind of, I hate to use the word grunge, but they were dirty, grungy, low level individuals, like people who just came, who were like regular dudes who came in, they heard the music from the 80s and they were like, yeah, I mean, some of this is good, but the virtuoso bullshit is kind of gay. They're like, we're just going to play music. We're going to play things that we like to hear. And we're going to do things that are weird and strange because we feel like it, because we want to experiment. And I think what happened is that the music industry saw that was becoming like underground successful. And so despite themselves, they were like, well, we've got to get in on the game, might as well get in on the game early. And so they brought a bunch of people in. But then if you look at what happened to those people in that industry, just look at them. They're all dead. All of them are dead now. All of the really good ones. Eddie Vedder's like the only guy left who's still alive. And Eddie Vedder is, I mean, look at the things that he said recently about, politics and stuff like that. I mean, these guys are like the shills to the top max degree. Their whole punk rock attitude they had at the beginning, like Rage Against the Machine. I love Rage Against the Machine's music. I think it's really, really good. I love it. I'll never say I don't love it. But they are the biggest fucking sellouts on the face of the planet. Like those guys are, oh my God.
They all asked
Rage.
they asked for vaccination status for their shows.
Yeah.
They were at the peak, follow Big Pharma,
Rage is one of my favorite bands of all time. Their saving grace is that they actually broke up in 2000.
Yes.
Because if they kept going, they would have turned into absolute faggots. Like they still have a legacy because of the fact that they're frozen in the 90s. But I do agree. Obviously, they're sellouts, and to be honest, their whole message from the beginning was kind of a bit of a mess. It's like it was, it was commie. It was just angsty.
Although I like
they kick ass though.
Yeah,
they kick ass.
Their revolutionary fervor, like because you can taste it in their music. You know what I mean? And like, thankfully, they broke up before that vibe, before that vivacity left. But that like revolutionary fervor for like the system is fucked. Fuck the system. You know what I mean?
The
like,
anger and being willing to fight. That was the appeal.
Yeah.
Because honestly, when I was into them, like in the 90s, I kind of ignored some of the messaging. I'm like, it's just about the anger.
Exactly.
It's just about the rebellion, and the fucking energy, And that was respectable.
Dirty ass riffs they have,
Yeah, dude.
They had dirty, funky riffs, man. It's so nice.
Oh. Yeah, it was so good.
Love Rage. That's why I like
Rage
too.
Same here. Like I was a big fan of Rage when I was younger.
I still listen to them weekly. Like I listen to them all the time. I love it. I think it's great. And I'm glad that they don't exist as a band anymore. The Squid says the CIA funded the creation of modern art, and those artists were commies and didn't realize that the marketing was funded to combat communism. That's a fat. There's a Fat Electrician video that details it. And then he says, a lot of culture and art influence from the 50s and 60s was CIA funded so they could say Western culture was better than communist Russia. Except it is, though, Squid. Like,
yeah,
I viewed 50s and 60s cult like art from Russia, and it's not on the same. Like, it's cute. It's cute because they try, but it's not even close to being as cool as American culture.
Yeah, I have something to say about that as well.
That's
he's not wrong.
Wolf
like there's a lot of intelligence interference in the art market. I mean, it's a joke. Like it's not almost. I think it's meant to like put people under depression. Like all the legitimate artists, the classical artists, the skilled artists, the people who seek out beauty, their souls were destroyed by stuff like taping a banana to a wall. You're saying like your talent, your skill, your eye for beauty is worth nothing. It's who you know It's being in the market. It's to have you being friends with the people who can value your work, and then that work is stored
Mhm.
on piers. Okay, it's not even in the museums very long, and it's certainly not in people's collections in their homes. It's stuck at the pier because that's where you get the insurance for its value, and it's all a money play. It's a psychological operation, money manipulation scheme, and it destroys the soul of artists and the culture of the people who
Yeah.
put that on a pedestal.
And that's where we are now. See, the Squid says, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, just pointing out that it happened. Fair enough. We're at now the point though where it is a bad thing, where we've come to the natural conclusion of art being defined by the value of art being defined by the establishment.
Yeah, I didn't see it as a bad thing
Well,
back in the day, but now I can see the effect of it long term, and it's damaging.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, though, did you guys see today?
Oh, you're roboting hard, Carbon.
Yeah, we could tell you're in AI now, Carbon.
That Google, the name, their AIs.
Carbon, why don't you restart your computer and come back?
Reboot your AI.
Can you guys hear me?
Now we can, but you keep going in and out.
Yeah.
Keep talking. We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Yeah, I'll be back.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I'll save this for when Carbon comes back because I have some choice words about The Offspring.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of the same thing, but like they're not even big enough to mention. But one of their band members did refuse though and got kicked out of the band. And
let's wait for Carbon to come back, okay? Because The Offspring is a hot topic, and I'm sure he's got something to say about that too, and he wants to hear what you have to say. Aaron says, "Time for Claremont Lee run on the early '90s X-Men." Yes, that is one of the best, dude. I'm sorry I've waited so long to read this comment, but I wanted to wait for it to be before we get back into this stuff. Yes, that's so good.
100%.
That's not them, but that's
no.
nice.
This is something that had him close by Dale Keown's pit, and we were talking about Todd McFarlane. This is some of his best Spider-Man work.
Look at that. That is an image. That is an iconic image. The one on the right there. That is an iconic image that like everybody who likes Spider-Man knows about.
Yep, and this is an homage of himself. So this is issue number 13, and he brings back the black suit in this one. And the story is
he homaged himself.
That's correct. Well, you could only homage yourself back in the day. It was, dude.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
It was seen as a ripoff. If you didn't see homages back in that day. Artists saw it as a ripoff, and it was frowned upon. But you could repeat yourself and homage yourself, if you want to call it that. And dude, this is some of the most beautiful McFarlane Spider-Man stories. I think that's him at his peak. Like he has some like this is the stuff.
Oh wait, go back to that page where Mary Jane is strung up by webs.
This is the stuff I hated, by the way. I don't like this extreme carton, but dude, Mary Jane
was a babe. Every time he drew her, it was straight up babe. Oh my gosh.
Listen, you can't tell me that you wouldn't fantasize reading this comic.
Bro,
you didn't want to be Peter with powers.
No, legitimately.
Mary Jane.
This comic made me like, okay, redheads are the top. You know what I mean? It was his version of Mary Jane that was like, okay, she is the comic book sweetheart. But you said you didn't like the cartoony stuff. You don't like that? I love that about McFarlane. I love that.
Well, it has grown on me since then, but at the beginning it pissed me off. I was like, I'm reading superhero comics. It's not a cartoon.
Oh, dude.
So.
I thought it was so cool how every character had a very distinctive, head shape and they all looked very distinct and unique, and their characters were defined not just by the words they said, hello, woo, but by, gosh, I'm being distracted. Like the hair,
some of the most
I love the hair. Her hair is like, woo.
This is Mary Jane at her peak, man.
Yes. Mary Jane was never drawn better than by Todd McFarlane.
This is my favorite page by McFarlane of all time.
It's the best Spider-Man suit, too.
He's putting on the black suit. Look at that. Fuck. I drew this when I was a kid. I was learning to draw while drawing this.
Nice.
This is like, look at that. The stance. He's just standing there. But like you're in awe of the page, you're in awe of his power, his presence, and all he's doing is just standing there.
Dude, unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm going to save these comments because I want to get into my first. Yes, bring beauty back into comic art. Yeah, dude. Mary Jane by Todd McFarlane is like my first crush. So I'm just gonna say, oh god, the hair, everything. So my first one, let's see here. I'm gonna present. I have some images here. I've got so many comics I could talk about. I don't even know if I want to start with this one. Oh man. I don't even know if I want to start with this one. But here we are. Do you guys see this?
Oh yeah, Daredevil.
Okay, so The Man Without Fear, the Frank Miller.
Yeah, I was thinking about this
Daredevil
one.
Me too.
This one to me, like, I don't know. I really, really, really love Frank Miller's art style, and this is when it was less. How would I put it? Experimental. This is when he kind of had to work within, there were certain expectations of him working for Marvel, that kind of thing. But his art is so spectacular in its simplicity, but it's how iconic it is. Even this cover here is just a fantastic stuff. This is the kind of stuff that really inspires me. I took pictures of these comics that I own. The stuff that I really loved about this, like here's him versus Bullseye. This is unlike what many comics I had read up until that point were like, where they're landing specific types of blows on each other and you can see it. And it's like a full-on fight between them where you can see each, he dives for him. This is where he grabs his leg, but then he kicks him off. Like these like minor, how would I put it? Like
fight choreography, right?
Exactly. The fight choreography, which you don't really find in comic books nowadays. Nowadays, it's just like the writer was like, okay, he strikes him and now he's lost the fight. And this is like, no. They are currently fighting. And there's 2 pages of them just throwing blows at one another. In a modern day comic book, this would be like a panel, and then there'd be more talking and more exposition. But this is like, and obviously, you've got the captions here that are describing what individual people are thinking or going through at the time, which I don't know. The modern audience doesn't really like the captions. I've never really had a problem with it. So that's just me personally. But some utterly fantastic stories in this. So obviously, we got the Punisher here. More fight choreography, this time with Dr. Octopus. Just classic Daredevil storytelling where it's action, but you've got even more action. Look at this, more fights against Bullseye. I think in the end, this is why I like it so much, partially because of the simplicity. So like if you look at the right page there, those 3 middle panels, the building's silhouette in the background, it's just like a yellow block essentially, but you know exactly what's going on there. Other artists would draw the whole city or whatever in the background, but here he doesn't do that. And then at the very top of those panels, you've got just the silhouettes of those 2 guys, and you can see exactly what's going on and what they're doing. It's so cool. Or like, and then you go to the rightmost panel. Look at him. This is Derek. He jumps off the line and then hits down hard on it because he knows that Bullseye can't keep his balance, which he just got. Now you got Bullseye falling, and then you have Daredevil grabbing him. It's just,
you can only do this type of stuff. You can only do this in comics. You
yes.
can't do this in TV. You can't do this in film. You're playing with the space. You're elongating the panels, giving you a sense also of the height, the risk that they could fall and break their neck at any moment.
And that,
there is definitely a level of physicality in these pages that you're showing us that we haven't really seen in recent comics. You're right. Like it's become more of a, each page is just like a quick message, right?
Yes.
and then you're moving on to the next event. Like here, it's like we're focusing on each movement.
Right.
It's impressive. Yeah.
And that's the thing I think writers, and I think it comes down to the writers in modern day, because as far as I'm aware, I've listened to a lot of different people about how it works these days, but it seems like it's less of the Marvel method where like you give a script to an artist and he like draws it and sends it back to you, and then you kind of like figure out a way to get your script to work with what he's drawn.
That's pretty tight scripts today, right?
Yeah, nowadays, from what I've heard from the professionals, is that you get a script and you better not deviate from it. Like you better stick to exactly what the script says, which in fairness is what I ask like Claudio to do. But at the same time, I'm heavily focused on this kind of stuff where it's like I want you to show all of the action between people. But anyway, I'm not trying to make it about myself.
Well,
The
I
point
wonder
is
if that has to do with the difference in the mentality of the real estate, because right now, right, we everyone wants to bang for their buck. Like we want to be able to tell the whole story in fewer pages,
Mhm.
right? Because of money, like right, because like we want to charge more. You know, the costs are high, so we want to tell a big story in fewer pages. And it seems like back then it's like, okay, let's shell it out. Let's show everything happening because they're going to stretch it across more pages. You know what I mean? I think there's a difference of philosophy there.
I mean, they had operating procedures like in the beginning, stories had to be completed within the same issue, and then it evolved, and then they started bringing series more and more.
Mhm.
So,
Which has its pros and its cons. I like the arcs across multiple issues. I do appreciate that because it allows you to tell more interesting stories, I would say. But it then makes the writer not more important, but the companies focus on that more now instead of this kind of like action. And there's no action in any comic books anymore. It's just I feel like the action is so they reduce it to as much as they possibly can. Like it's almost like when they're writing the book, they're like, okay, well, I kind of have to put an action scene in, otherwise people will complain. You know what I mean? It's not like they don't want to see the action anymore. Like I want to. This is the coolest thing. You tell me this is going to go on a 0 words fight between Bullseye and Daredevil is going to go on for at least like 4 more pages. I'm like, yes, let's go. Like I'm locked in. Let's go.
Well, I mean, here's the thing though, Patrick. Like, it's a completely different model. Like they have the confidence of knowing that they're going to have a monthly book coming out, right? Versus like us, the realm that we're in, we're talking about releasing a graphic novel, 48 pages or more, that's going to contain a full story that is going to satisfy people. Like we need to condense everything in it, right?
That's true.
So that it can last for a year or two. So it is a different it's a different narrative style, I would say.
That's true.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm trying to get to the point where I can release comic books often enough that I can have fat fucking action scenes and that nobody will ever complain about action scenes. Like that's my main, I love action. That's the whole point of comic books to me. Not the whole point, but you know what I'm saying? Like it is a distinctive feature about comic books that as a child and as a grown man, I love to death.
Yeah, because you're staring at pieces of paper. So if your characters are boring on the page and they're bored, it's like, what are you doing? Like your characters have to jump out of the page. You have to simulate action to get people excited and give it the story movement and get people to turn the page.
Precisely. And
I think it's a balance.
As a man, I like action. I like fight scenes,
Yeah, there has to be action. But I think there's a balance you have to achieve where it feels like it's not going on too long, right?
Sure.
Because you're showing the action.
You don't want to Dragon Ball Z it.
Yeah, and then the story has to move on, essentially.
Well, you have to move the story forward. Exactly. That's why you have to have your quote unquote pedestrian scenes. But you can make those exciting. I mean, I'm just going to repeat what McFarlane used to say. You can make those exciting like Hitchcock used to make it exciting by putting the camera in interesting spots, giving interesting angles, changing the panels and stuff like that. So there's no reason for your story to be boring, even when you're pushing the story forward.
Exactly. The Squid says, "What's the point in a superhero if there's no fights? Isn't that the point? A battle between good and evil, a role model for young boys to be inspired by." And you made a good point there, Squid, for young boys to be inspired by. As a young boy, all I wanted was the fight scenes. As an adult, I go back and I read some of these comics, and like the day-to-day minutia of the superheroes' lives actually is like super interesting and moving to me. It used to be like I would kind of want to skip through all of Peter Parker's, whatever he's doing his stuff in his regular life. I don't care. I just want to go see him fight the Green Goblin or Doc Ock or Sandman or whatever. But now as an adult, I read those scenes and I'm like, damn, like Peter was kind of a douche to these guys and I'm digging it. Like I like to see the way he talks to, I don't know, the day-to-day activity stuff becomes more interesting, I think, the older you get. But
that's true.
And it's cool to go back and read some of these things. Most of the comic books I've read were the comedy types, the newspaper funnies, if you will. Calvin and Hobbes, Boondocks, Pearls Before Swine. Dude, all of those are fantastic. Pearls Before Swine. Oof. Hey, did you read The Far Side, Squid? That one's amazing.
Oh, I read that. Yeah.
Far Side was cool.
All right, we'll get to The Offspring. I have to take a piss before we do that. But I do want to wrap up the Frank Miller talk. Let me see here. Beautiful cover. This was, by the way, for me, when I really fell in love with the character of Black Widow. Her gray costume with her short red hair in the 90s or 80s or whatever it was. That it went into the 90s, but I think it started in the 80s. That's my favorite costume, her gray costume. And that's when I was like, yeah, Black Widow's awesome. And then she was in the Avengers and I was like, cool. She's like my favorite Avenger. And like all the other guys, I wasn't really I was not like I disliked them, but I wasn't really ever a huge fan of them, except for Black Widow. So that was cool to see her. And then this is like classic Frank Miller stuff right here. Backgrounds, fuck that. But you don't even notice. Look, he drew look at those 6 rectangles he drew in the back of the third panel. Like that might be implying a light source from earlier where he might have established that, but it might as well not be. Like this is just like classic Frank Miller where he's like, I don't care. I'm just gonna. And cool. It doesn't matter. It looks sick.
Yeah, it's well done. So I love the shot with him with the gun, man. That's fucking cool.
Because he conveys the story. Like he's not doing style or like being lazy at the cost of the comic book. He's pushing the visuals
exactly
to another level.
And this being Daredevil, like this is maybe the way Daredevil sees things, It's
right,
pretty cool.
What awareness does Daredevil have of backgrounds, right?
Yeah, it's so sick. And then this image, I just brought this up just because this is like a fever dream that Daredevil's having, and it reminded me a lot of Ronin, and I was like, huh, maybe this was the beginning of that, of Frank Miller's Ronin. But yeah, cool, very cool stuff. Let me stop the screen there.
Highly recommend to anybody in the audience. So far, the books that we've mentioned are fucking top notch.
Oh yeah,
check them out, people.
So let me go take a whiz real quick. I'm gonna smoke a fag. I'll be right back. Yeah, let's see here.
You got a clip because I got a wee as well.
Yeah, play a video, Patrick.
Let me play. I'll put on, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to actually, because Johnny Scab and I have been talking about doing I don't know if he wants me to talk about this, but I'm going to do it anyway because he didn't say not to talk about it. We've been talking about doing a little show together where we're both like voice actors, and he's going to do the animation. I'm going to do some of the audio work, and we're going to be, have characters and stuff that we bring in, and it's going to be something like Malin Mysteries, but it's going to be more like a sitcom kind of thing. Like if you guys have ever seen the Big Les Show, you guys ever heard of that?
I have not. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I can show a Big Les Show and they won't knock me, will they? I highly doubt it. Hold on. This show is amazing. This guy does all of this through MS Paint. This guy is like unbelievable. So let me go. Let's see. Not the Donnie and Clarence Show. Let's get the Big Les Show. this guy, he's a guy from Australia, and he does like all of his stuff through MS Paint, and then he voices it all himself. I'm gonna go some later episodes here because it gets a lot better. Like it gets shockingly good, the art. Let's see here. Okay, I'm just gonna play this video, folks. We're obviously not gonna watch the whole thing, but I hope that you appreciate this because I don't know. This is just this stuff is hilarious. We'll be right back. I'll be back in about 6-ish to 7-ish minutes. But enjoy this. I think you will. I think you really will enjoy this. This is kind of what Johnny and I are thinking about. Obviously, it's not going to be this level of animation, but this kind of like goofy, like just shitting around kind of stuff. It'll be fun. Be right back.
Guns.
Uh-oh.
Looks like I'm not the only one with internet issues. They're throttling us.
Oh, no.
They're fucking with our internet.
King of the fucking jungle. Hey, Les, did you get me any games for my Xbox? What? There's games on, isn't there? No, you got to get them separate. Oh, well, fuck.
This is
Jesus
so like
Christ,
early
Quinnan.
2000s.
I do something nice for you, and all you do is ask for more shit.
Kind of shit.
How much is one of these bloody CD-ROM things for your game box anyway? Well, I don't know, like $70 or something? $70.
But I would say this is on brand for Johnny Scott.
$70.
For sure.
That's a slab of piss and a pack of Winnie Blues. Get the ball. Boys round. Have a good night. Get some bitches over. You don't have any bitches, Les. Yeah, well. You don't have any games for your game box. Plug that wire in and might work. Which one? What colour? I don't know. Red, white, yellow. They're all the same, aren't they? No, mate. It's definitely the red one. I'm fucking sure of it. How can you be sure when you're fucking jacked up on heroin? I'm not fucking on heroin. You fucked it. You fucked
No,
it.
guys, you got to disconnect the electromagnetic wires from the mainframe to extract the densest gamma radiation.
Oh, look, we got ourselves a fucking evolutionary physicist over here.
Well, you know, what's going on?
What are you doing on the roof? Oh, Les, mate. What's going on? What are you doing? Setting up the old Gamma Max 2063 V2.0 Platinum Edition.
Frederick, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
I think I'm gonna mute
Yeah.
the audio from this.
Yeah, good move.
But the animation style I was saying earlier is like Newgrounds. Do you remember that website?
No, I don't think I saw that one, but I've seen other stuff like this. It's like very simple to execute, so you can roll them out without too much overhead. And then it's all in the voice work, right? It's all in the scripting and the voice work, and you can reuse characters. I mean, the people who did Archer kind of started out like that. They started out like really primitive comics before Archer. Like they had a series, I forget the name now. They even started out making fun of the Under the Sea show, and he was like the art was bad, but the jokes were so over the top and funny and raunchy that it was hilarious.
Well, that's what I mean, because when the internet kind of went underway, starting in the early 2000s, where websites started to move faster, people started creating these weird online cartoons,
like salad fingers.
Yeah, exactly. And Newgrounds was just kind of a hub where a lot of people would upload their stuff to,
Gotcha.
and people would make stuff like this on MS Paint. And actually, at the time, I used to make stuff on MS Paint as well, and it was an easy way to animate stuff and just make over the top violent shit. And it was funny. I mean, look, it was the beginning of the internet, and it was fun, and that's the style that it's almost become like now. It's almost like a retro style.
Yeah,
You know, Johnny Scab with Mail and Mysteries. The whole like copy and paste style of photos and just like, you know, throwing on graphics. It's become like a
yeah, it's like memes. It's like the cheaper tools you use, the more almost lazy you are with the technique.
Yeah.
It all lays on the performance and the ideas, right?
It's like a lo-fi internet style, right? It's like a lo-fi computer style, where you just you're pasting shit on, and it's just cheap graphics.
Yeah,
and it's
like,
funny.
You're not trying to make it look realistic. It's not trying to pass as anything. It's just you have the minimum information to understand what the joke is about, the story is happening.
Yeah. Apparently, it's making a comeback. It's crazy to think that we're 20 years out from that.
I mean, memes function that way. I mean, the most worn out, cheapest, like loosely cut, pasted memes are the best. It's like it has nothing to do with like the quality of it. It's quite the opposite.
Well, yeah, it kind of makes it funnier, to be honest, when you see like a meme with a photo and like a low res image like just plopped on top of it.
Exactly. It's more honest. It's less polished. It doesn't feel like it's gone through the corporate filter.
Or AI. Yeah, I swear AI is like, you could tell everything is super polished.
Yeah.
On AI. Dude, the other day. Go ahead.
I was going to say I have AI nausea now when I scroll on Twitter because there's everybody's using it for memes, and you're getting to a point where like most of the images you see is AI, and
that's what I mean.
You're missing something at this point. It's
creepy. It's fucking creepy, man. Because like you're scrolling, and now I'd say it's about maybe 30% of what you see is AI right now. But it's crept up because it used to be like less, you know, it was like maybe 10% or less before.
Yeah. And I'm seeing
it's creeping up.
I'm seeing AI comics now, which grosses me the fuck out.
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I saw like a video clip. I was scrolling, and I saw a video clip of a woman. Of course, you know, that's like half of the internet, obviously, to lure people. And it was like a pretty sexy, thick Latina chick, right? And she wasn't even in a bikini or anything. She was just, you know, dressed. She was dressed normally, but she was cute and thick. And so obviously, you know, it made me stop. Like it was good. It looked good enough. She looked good enough. It made me stop. And I was like, hey, you know, the typical reaction. And then I clicked on her profile. And then shortly after, I realized that she was actually an AI creation.
Yeah.
But it was a video. It wasn't just photo. It was video clips.
Yeah.
Of
her.
You
could do video. You could do audio. You can create a whole personality.
No, but dude, before it was just pictures.
Yeah.
Right? And they would fool you with pictures. Now the video clip looked real of her. And I kept looking through the profile and I'm like, wait a minute. She looks slightly different in every video. And that's where the error was with the AI, because her face looks like her features were different enough. I'm like, wait a minute.
Soon you're going to be able to instant message conversations with her. You're going to be able to live talk to her.
Oh yeah. Oh no, already. No, but I got pissed off because I was like, damn it, they fooled me. Once I saw it, once I realized it was AI, I got pissed. I was like, damn it, I got fooled by this shit.
So you guys didn't like the audio very much for that, huh?
No, it's not that. It kept on
it's the
freezing up.
Yeah, it's the internet issue, so it kept like getting spinning wheel every moment or so.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, the fact that he can do that with MS Paint, just crazy, dude. And like you guys were saying, it's that like not low level, but it's like that kind of retro, kind of like sloppy-ish style that's actually kind of nostalgic now.
Oh no, it looks funny. It's just the freezing of the video kept on tripping it up.
All right, so now that we're all here, we should talk about this. Art Haida said a while back, don't forget the Offspring fired their drummer for not taking the shot when it would have most likely killed him due to pre-existing conditions. Dude, fuck the Offspring.
Fuck them.
They are literally like worse than generic level Nirvana. They're so bad. They're an atrociously bad band with nothing original to their name. The Offspring is I like despise the Offspring almost as much as I despise. Actually, I think I dislike them more than I dislike Pearl Jam.
Well,
Like,
first of all, Pearl Jam is probably infinitely better than the Offspring.
Oh yeah, at least they're original.
But anyway, isn't it funny how the Offspring is one of those bands that was pushed heavily by the corporate music industry and the pay to play radio system?
Mm-hmm.
That they forced people to like it, even though it sounded like shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's so bad, and there's nothing about them that's original. I mean, their most famous song is almost a direct rip off of "Smells Like Teen Spirit."
Yeah, what's it called? What's that song?
I don't know what it's called. I just know that every time it comes on, I'm like, turn this off.
My friend's got a girlfriend and he hates that bitch.
No. It's the
Tells
one.
me every day.
It's the one that starts with the na 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 na.
Yeah.
It's like fuck you. I mean, are you kidding me?
Oh,
you don't recognize
Self-Esteem.
how much that sounds like Nirvana.
Yeah,
Like, come on.
Self-Esteem.
Maybe dumb.
I'm just
but
a
I'm not
loser
a
with
yeah,
no
yeah.
self-esteem.
Oh,
Radio. That one.
I can't stand them.
So
Ugh.
welcome to karaoke night, everybody, of the Comicsgate Commandos.
I've been thinking about doing that actually. I could just like break out a karaoke song, and I wouldn't. It'd be good actually. Because I'm actually a pretty good singer.
I mean, although I know you would sound good, and actually probably most of us. I mean, I know I would sound good because I'm confident, but I don't think it would work well on the stream because it's kind of cringy when people break into song.
Yes.
Right? It's just like
You're right. I won't be getting rid of any accusations either about me being a twink if I start singing on stream. So, here's the song from Greece, everybody.
If you start with
you probably
better call it quits. Right
you're better off just making a separate dedicated video.
Show tunes, right?
Yeah.
Patrick's show tunes.
Oh my God. Yeah. It is tunes with Q whenever I do stuff. So I don't know. It's fun. I think it's fun to sing every once in a while and do fun songs. But I don't know. Maybe something more like, how EVS will get on his piano and he'll take the karaoke, but he'll sing a different song, like different lyrics to it. I think that's really funny. I always think the people, when they see that in his chat, they enjoy that. So I don't know. Maybe it's something that I could do here.
But Patrick, what's going on with St. Louis? Is everything all right over there? I heard that there's been some catastrophic weather going on.
Well, yeah. For the past, I'd say about a month, we've had storms, really bad storms coming in and out. I've been very lucky. A lot of people have been hit by hail. Some hail that's like this big, like out a little bit more west than me, probably 30 minutes west of me. People are getting like baseball sized hail.
Damn.
Destroying cars. Since I work at a car dealership, there's a lot of people freak out and they bring all the cars into the service drive so they don't get hit by hail and stuff. So, I mean, it's okay. There's been some people who've who've had some issues, but I've been lucky, and everybody that I know, with the exception of one of my coworkers whose car he had a piece of hail come straight through his windshield. So, it's not great. But look, in St. Louis, like honestly, a defining feature of St. Louis, as anybody who's lived here long enough can tell you, is that our weather is just totally like there's nothing about St. Louis weather that makes any sense. We're now in May 21st. If it snowed tomorrow, I would be like, oh yeah, like that's St. Louis. That's just the way it is. And I think it has a lot to do, conspiracy theory incoming, with the Boeing factory that we've got here. I think that the weather changing technology that the CIA patented in the 50s is in full effect in St. Louis. I honestly think that. And if you look up into our skies every day, you'll see these people dropping, they're doing they're flying planes over and dropping chemicals into the sky. And then, within 30, 40 minutes, the sky is somehow gray now when it was completely clear and blue. St. Louis is weird. Yeah, it's not unusual to be loved by anyone. Yeah. Fantastic. Exactly.
Salty's in the chat saying, "What's up, mother truckers?"
Salty, how you doing,
You're
man?
just in time,
What's up,
Salty. We're
man?
talking about our favorite issue of Akira tonight.
Salty, if you have a run that you did not write that you would like to talk about, you can pop on. Let me know. I'll send you the link. But okay, so now it's I think we've got time for one more. What do you guys think?
Let's go.
Yeah.
I got one.
I mean,
more.
like one more a person.
I got
Carbon?
something
You're
up
up.
my sleeve.
Well, I'm gonna try to share my screen. I don't know if that might cause me to drop out of the stream, but because tonight apparently we're having some technical difficulties.
If you drop out, I can hop on with mine until you get back on. So don't worry.
Well,
about
the YouTube thing, I will say, I noticed that whenever I put on a YouTube video, unless I switch my tab to be focused on the YouTube video, it will start to lag. Like if you switch back to the StreamYards tab and you're trying to watch the video through the StreamYards tab, it'll start to lag. So I have to stay on the YouTube video, and I forgot to do that when I switched it to that video.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
Just so you know.
Apparently, it looks like StreamYard has upgraded to the point, kind of like how when you update your phone to the new operating system, right? Like the latest iOS. Yeah, everything starts to slow down. And that's what's happening, because now we're using the newest StreamYard, and fucking, it's like I'm on a primitive laptop now.
Yeah.
As a result,
They doubled the price and made it slower and changed all the features around.
It's funny how technology works, isn't it?
But I'm sharing an image.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wow.
We had
This
to
is
talk
iconic.
about the death of Superman. One of the biggest moments in comic history.
Mhm.
It was a turning point. We have to admit, I don't care who you are. If you don't like Superman, go fuck yourself anyway. But this was a turning point. Everyone was aware of it. It was a cultural moment.
Yeah.
The news even talked about it, right?
Yeah. It was on everywhere. You could not. DC was desperate because Image was crushing it. Marvel had no more artists, and DC had to stand out. They went full Death of Superman.
Yeah.
And
But they
was
did it in
90s.
spades. You
Well-
could have biffed it, but they brought in Doomsday. And Doomsday is one of the coolest villains ever.
Well, yes. I mean, there's a lot of aspects to this run that actually was pretty pivotal. I mean, aside from the fact that, the obvious of Superman being defeated and seeming like he died, there's the advent of Doomsday, which is a great character. But then also after this was the reign of the Superman.
Just before you go on, like it really did seem like he died because they stopped his comic for 3 months. Like they halted that series. Everyone was led to believe it was final.
Well, he was gone. He was gone for a while, and so therefore, the reign of the Superman and having new characters spring up after his death was a logical move. I mean, because if you're gonna make this death stick, and he's gonna be gone, what are we gonna do now? So we're gonna have some other characters, and the characters that lasted from that were Superboy and Steel out of the four. There was also this other guy. I'm forgetting their damn names. There was something
There was one that
sounded
was
like
all
the
blue.
yeah. Well, no, one looked like a Terminator. One had half
Yeah.
a face that
Yeah.
was robotic,
Mhm.
and then the other dude was actually pretty lame because he just looked like Superman with yellow glasses on. But
Yeah,
anyway,
like Invincible combined with Superman, kind of.
yeah.
And it was
But-
interesting because all of Superman's individual books came up with one person to replace him, claiming they were the Superman, but they were all different. So who was the real Superman was kind of the storyline at that point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, it was pretty brilliant because also it was a test run to see which characters were the most likable. And then clearly, right now, we could tell just by the fact that we could remember Superboy and we remember Steel, right?
Yeah.
Those are the ones that stood out.
Steel's cool.
And even at the time, actually, I knew right away that the other two, like, because I just didn't even give a shit about them. I'm like, I'm not going to remember these people. But Superboy was my favorite, actually, because he was pretty dope. But anyway, aside from that, the actual fight of the death of Superman was epic beyond belief. Doomsday fighting Superman, sick,
Mhm.
dude. And I remember, I can even picture it in my mind, going to the comic shop at that time in '93 and seeing the cover of the first release of it. They actually covered this book, the one that we're looking at right now. They covered it with a plastic bag that had
Mhm.
just the red Superman logo on,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dripping with blood.
they were
Dude.
everywhere,
It
everywhere.
was epic as fuck.
Mhm.
I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that shit.
You've ruined the show.
It's over now. I have the other image. I'm gonna share.
Art says
So-
hating on my boy Cyborg Superman. This
I
shit.
almost ruined the stream again. Like my camera went out earlier, but you didn't notice it because I put tape on it now.
Was
So
it,
just
is that
go-
when is that when it went blue?
Oh, the blue tape.
Yes,
That was
I
smart.
put blue
Okay,
tape. Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
We noticed. We didn't see you.
yes.
Butt
And I'm
naked.
wearing a t-shirt.
Frederick, everybody thinks now that you draw in the nude with just gloves on. So
Yeah.
Well, only during Commandos because on my show I take the gloves off.
right. So you're right. At least you show up dressed to impress on the Commandos.
Hey, if there's a dress code, I'll respect it.
Yes, this image is iconic.
Yeah. So I was saying before, like, I actually literally have the memory in my mind going to the comic shop and seeing on the rack the plastic black bag with just this on it, and everyone was like, "Whoa!" It was powerful. Talk about a fucking selling point. Like,
Mhm.
everybody bought it. Everybody had to buy this shit. It's like, how
Not
can I
me.
not get this?
I didn't
Why not, Frederick?
because I figured everyone else is gonna get it. So.
Wow.
I wasn't into DC to start with, and
Oh,
Superman.
shut up, Frederick.
Yeah.
You didn't see this in the comic shop and not buy it. Come on.
I was buying X-Force at that time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now, if you
yeah.
saw this in the comic shop, like the way I'm describing, yeah, you would have bought, or it's sold out. You went to the comic shop and it was sold out. That's what happened. That's what actually happened.
I was
His
into
name is
Image.
changed from Carbon Heart to Copen Heart.
No, that's not a cope. That's real. Anyway,
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
I did
but
buy the
amazing.
Bat
Do
one
you have a
on-
picture of Doomsday? Because he's like one of the coolest villains of all time.
I don't have one saved. I can pull one up if you give me a moment.
Oh, Art, you mean like the one where he dies in the negative zone. Is that the one you're talking about? That was gosh, what was that? What worm was that? That was early 2000s, I want to say. I don't remember. That one, right? Or are you talking about, I'm pretty sure you're talking about that one where he goes to the negative zone and the door closes and then they all think he's dead for a long time, but then he comes back and he's the fucking king of the negative zone. Is that what you're talking about? But anyway, Carbon, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. Death of Superman.
No, I mean, honestly, it speaks for itself. I mean, that's how iconic it is. It was a turning point. And yeah, it was badass, man. It was bloody. It was violent. Everyone was into it. It was a cultural landmark. But unfortunately, it also simultaneously caused a bit of an issue in comics because now you can kill somebody and then not actually die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It started that trend where it's like, oh, well, we can kill them and then they can come back.
Which is, well, yeah. And it's crazy. I mean, that's a big problem with comic books, but what are you supposed to, like, I don't know. It's what are you supposed to do? You've got Superman. Not that nobody wants to see Steel or Superboy, but that they'd rather see actual Superman. But I
mean, it was kind of
you don't have much of a choice.
It's like the marketing department was taking
cool.
a lot of decisions back then as well. Like they were sacrificing the long-term believability of the character living or dying for this big marketing event, and a lot of comics did that as well. Like it wasn't unique to that. There was a lot of sacrifices made. I mean, we see it in the movies nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a cool image of Superman versus Doomsday.
That is dope.
Yes.
Who's the artist on this piece? Do you know?
I do not know, actually. I just used Google and pulled up a good image.
Yeah, that's pretty freaking dope.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, any image of Superman fighting Doomsday is pretty sick. All of them have a kind of similarity, but
well, at least for me, I thought that Superman was lame, and then I saw that he died because he was killed by Doomsday, and it's like, well, I mean, because now you've got a dude who can hang with Superman, like he can totally hang, and that made Superman more interesting to me, that he had a villain like Doomsday who could just, it didn't matter. Like, it didn't matter how strong Superman was. Doomsday was, he would adapt and he would survive, and he would, he obviously eventually killed him. And I think that's probably one of the reasons I hated Batman vs. Superman so much, because one of the coolest stories of Superman to me was the death of Superman. And I felt like it was not only rushed, but that Doomsday was so lame in that movie. It really kind of pissed me off.
Yeah.
Sorry, BA.
No, they obviously rushed it, and that movie was a mess. There are moments in that movie, though, that are very good. I have to admit, though. There are like certain scenes that actually still are, they stand out as memorable. Mm-hmm. But as a whole, obviously it's a mess. And fucking, I truly believe Jesse Eisenberg ruined that movie.
He was horrible.
The kid who played Luthor.
Gosh. Yeah.
I think if there were a good Luthor, if there was a good Luthor in that movie, it could have potentially saved that movie. I believe. That kid was a piece of shit.
Literally,
yeah.
Half of his lines start with him going, huh, huh. Like, what the fuck
fucking
are you doing?
Douchebag.
Like, what?
Oh, that was the same guy who played Mark Zuckerberg in the Facebook movie.
Yeah.
Which was more fitting of a role for him.
Yeah.
Twink piece of shit. You see, that's actually a twink. Patrick, we need to remove the twink stigma from you. We need to get you out of that realm.
That's as easy as removing the gay and fat stigma from EVS. So, it's like I'm good at singing and acting. Of course, people are gonna call me a twink. It's okay.
We gotta
It's
you
all
gotta get a tan. We'll get a tan.
No, tan is that would make me way more gay to go get a tan.
No.
Are you kidding
Lift
me?
some weights. Lift some weights and build up your
Guys,
shoulders.
I went to the tanning bed and I'm back and I look sexier now.
No. Lifting weights is the gayest thing you could do. You want to
Lifting
go
weights
out
is also
and
kinda
chop
gay, I'm
wood.
gonna be honest
You
with
take
you.
an axe and you chop wood.
Brother,
Do that all
brother,
day.
I
Grow
fucking
your
fight
beard
people
out.
every week. I fight people
Hold
every
on.
week. I don't have any
Grow-
concern about people thinking I'm gay.
I got you. Gain 20 pounds of muscle. Grow your beard
I
out
should
and get
do
a
that, though.
get a little bit of a tan. I'm not saying heavy tan. Just
I
a little
can't.
bit.
I can't tan. I'm Polish, French,
you burn.
Canadian, and Irish.
Yeah, we're
There's
the
no
same.
tanning for me,
Turn
brother.
red and
get
the skin
burned right
starts
away.
to,
Yeah. But you're right. I could look. I could go to the weightlifting gym and lift more weights. You're right. I could do that. It's just a matter of time. It's like, do I want to go do an enjoyable workout where I get to fight people, or do I go lift weights? And I prefer fighting people. But then growing the beard out, you saw I grew it out, but then I shaved it today because like it gets itchy. It just gets itchy, and then I start like
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
going like this. It's
on your lips. Too. Yeah, I know what you mean.
it comes
But,
in and out. I let it go and I shave it out. No,
also,
I mean,
smoke a cigar on stream. That'll do it.
right. If I could smoke cigarettes in my apartment, I would do that. But no, I mean, it's a joke. I mean, maybe some people outside of our chat don't think it's a joke, but I feel like our chat knows that it's a joke, and I'm willing to self-deprecate for the amusement of the chat, as it were. I don't really need to prove anything to anybody, so like I know who I am, and I'm totally fine with that. So anyway, Art wanted me to bring up the issue where Johnny Storm dies in the Fantastic Four. He says very relevant. Art, can you specify what you mean by very relevant? I will say this is the image that I found that I'm pretty sure is from that book. And this is that guy who takes, if I'm not mistaken, this was the run that was the guy who takes like actual photos, like sometimes porno photos, and then traces over them, if I'm not mistaken. Because
Mark Brooks,
I think so. If that's the guy that that EVS and everybody were talking about, that's the guy.
Well, this does look photo referenced.
This is straight up traced, brother. Look at his look at his face. Look at the way his arms are. You can just look at this and go, like, if this were drawn freehand, then yes, his arms would be smaller, technically speaking, because they're behind him. He's holding them behind him like that, kind of. But there would be some kind of artistic flair to it, where it wouldn't look like this. Looks like it was traced. If that makes any sense. But I remember this image specifically. This doesn't look like it's traced. This looks like, this is him in the negative zone being like, all right, let's fucking go. And yeah, that's what happens. They capture him. They make him fight in their arena for a long time, and he like dies and comes back to life. I think they like give him like some kind of alien insectoid symbiote type thing that makes him not like a symbiote like the symbiotes, but more like, like a symbiotic alien thing that brings him back to life. So he has to keep fighting and fighting and dying and fighting and dying. Until eventually, like I don't exactly remember how he does it, but he like overpowers it, and then he takes over, and he like takes over the negative zone, and he becomes the king of the negative zone. And that was pretty cool. It was super sick. There's a lot of hit and misses with the Fantastic Four, I will say. And one of the hottest takes I have about Fantastic Four comics is that Jonathan Hickman is like not a good writer. Like, he's not good. I'm sorry if people think that he is good. He's not good. His dialogue is shit. The way that he makes children speak is egregiously atrocious. They don't sound at all like children. They sound like literally like full-grown adults. His ideas, his fascinating ideas that everybody fawns over, like, oh my God, this was such a cool idea. It's not a cool idea. It's actually oftentimes really stupid and lame. Like, as an example, the most recent one where he takes the X-Men, puts them onto Krakoa, and then makes it. They try to pawn it off as if like this is an acceptable thing for the X-Men to do, to make their own country, to not allow humans there, to literally kidnap mutants throughout the world who aren't doing exactly what they want, what they think mutants should be doing. They fucking kidnap those people, bring them to Krakoa. Everybody on Krakoa who's a mutant is like all their horrible past and deeds just erased. Doesn't matter. You're a mutant. You know, who can blame you? Who can blame you for trying to wipe out the entire human species apocalypse? You're a mutant just like us, so you're a good guy. It is so stupid and incredibly faggy. And then they show how faggy it is by one, implying that Jean Grey, Cyclops, and Wolverine have some sort of polyamorous relationship. Incredibly faggy. And then two, the whole Gala shit. The Gala stuff is the most cringe stuff that has come out of Marvel. They took the X-Men, who were, A-listers, some of the coolest characters in all of Marvel, and they made them this essentially racist group of losers who live on this island and like essentially deny the responsibility that they have from the power that they've been given by God. That is what Jonathan Hickman's X-Men is. Now, it could have been cool. It could have been a one of the most brilliant comic books of all time if Jonathan Hickman had introduced that concept, everything I've just said so far, and then been like, hey, by the way, guys, now the X-Men are bad guys. Like, now they're the Brotherhood of Evil X-Men. Like, they're the bad guys now. They've decided that they want to separate people off of race. But that's not what he did. What he did instead was do a kind of modern Marxist propaganda thing where the X-Men, mutants in general, are a substitute in the reader's eyes for BIPOC individuals. So in his estimation and the estimation of Marvel editors and the people who read it and like it, this is totally acceptable for them to have this offshoot civilization where they just completely ignore and don't engage with the regular folks who are, the white folks in that book. Essentially, it's the most blatant propaganda I've seen in a long time, and it ruined the X-Men. X-Men comic books are fucking bullshit nowadays.
It's almost like they started hiring people whose agenda was to just tear down everything that we love.
And the funny part is they think that when they write this stuff that they're building it up. They think that they're doing a good thing. But what they've done is they've made the X-Men racist, bigoted assholes. Like, for instance, the Inhumans. I'm sure you guys know something about the Inhumans. A lot of people like the Inhumans. The Inhumans are a bunch of racist assholes. They've always been that way. Even in the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby run, they're a bunch of racist asshole losers. They suck. They suck. The Inhumans are one of the lamest group of people ever because of the fact that they're racist. And I'm going to do what's the Joker line? I'm tired of pretending that they're not. Like, I'm sick of it. They're horrible. What you did with the X-Men is you made them a giant group of Inhumans who were lame to begin with. So,
well, it's
that's
funny
my hot take
X-Men,
for the evening.
X-Men was kind of the quintessential 90s comic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you think back on the 90s and like what made comics like hot, you know what I mean? Like literally it became like everyone was aware of it.
The number one selling comic of all time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, everyone knows the imagery of the X-Men in the 90s, and it was fucking hot. It was badass. It was high tea because the women were sexy. The men were muscular and fucking
Psylocke
tough.
and Rogue, baby. Oh
yeah, bro. Like X-Men was the quintessential. Like, this is fucking hot comics. And then they go, you know what? Let's hire some fucking beta bitches to basically make them, like you said, aware of their racism, their sexism, their homophobia, their transphobia. It's like, okay, you just destroyed everything that we love about this.
Yeah. Well, the very idea they eschewed the Xavier dream of humans and mutants coexisting and living together in peace and harmony. And this was an idea that really hit people hard in the 90s because at that point, we had kind of moved past this whole black versus white thing. We were like, let's just live together in harmony. Can we not just live together in harmony? Like we have the same. We all trying to feed our families. We're all trying to live our lives. Let's live together in harmony, in unity. And what they said is the only way that peace can be achieved is through segregation. That's what the modern X-Men comics are.
I have to comment on that because you're completely right about the harmony.
Mm-hmm.
The 90s was the first decade in which we almost got there. It's like, okay, everyone's integrating, everyone's listening to the same music, we're all into culture together, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you know what the turning point was? The downfall. I actually analyzed this. I looked at charts. I analyzed the data of what happened in the 90s. The turning point for race relations.
It was because Pearl Jam started making music, right? That destroyed the whole thing.
Well, technically, you're wrong because Pearl Jam started in the beginning of the 90s, 1990. So that's not the turning point.
Damn it. I wanted to blame another thing on Pearl Jam.
I thought you were going to get it, though. The actual turning point was, drum roll, OJ getting not convicted, getting off from the crime. OJ Simpson, not guilty. The not guilty verdict was the turning point of race relations in the 90s. I want everyone to do their homework after this episode. Come back next week and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, that's a fascinating theory there. I'll have to look into that.
It's actually demonstrable if you look at charts of the crime rates during the 90s as well as the culture. It's fascinating.
Huh.
It's also a little scary, but it's actually true.
Maybe a thing where people felt like they could get away with crime. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Because as we know, the jury for that trial was majority black. Mm-hmm. And we discovered, and they even revealed it in interviews afterwards, they didn't care about the evidence. They went, well, no, we're gonna get them off for this. We're gonna make them not guilty.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Carbon. It was everyone was riveted on that trial. It was on TV every day, and it started with the Bronco chase. I mean, that was the opening scene, if you will.
Yep.
And people's opinion on the verdict diverged depending on their race.
Oh, so yeah.
It completely created two schools of thought, or two opinions, two sides, basically.
It was like the 90s version of the current Carmelo Anthony case, which is right now a big turning point in this year.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like racial divisions are whipped up by people in power. Huh.
Well, the media for sure. That's for damn sure.
Well,
gee, I wonder who owns the media.
Who owns the media? Oh, it's curious. We should specify though, and I want to specify this because I do go on X and I see a lot of hate. Like, I'm not one of these people who's like, you're not allowed to, criticize groups of people. You are. But we do have to be Christian about it. Human beings are individual people, and the decisions they make are their individual decisions, although oftentimes it may seem like it's a group decision. And so what I mean by that is to say that not everybody in every group is guilty of the sins of the group. That's what I want to say. Just as I would hate it if you guys thought that, that I agreed with, PDF stuff because there were some Catholic priests who engaged in that. Like, I would hate for you to think that about me because obviously I don't think that. And I think it's abhorrent and evil. So, we have to understand that within groups of people, there are bad actors, and sometimes maybe the whole group or majority of the group is, bad actors. But I'm just really worried about us getting to a point where we're like, let me be very specific here. There's been, at least in the past 3 weeks, there's been a lot of like this whole black fatigue posting stuff. And honestly, I'm fatigued by that. I understand the point of it. I get why people are upset about African American culture in America. I understand that. And I personally have been talking about this for a long, long time, about how culture is the thing that leads to things that you like or you don't like. And but I just want to as Christians, we are called to forgive people, but also to be, how would I put it? To not assume things about other people. If somebody's established to you that they are a certain way, you can have sure, take an opinion about them. But we really shouldn't get to the point where we're saying this entire group of people is guilty. You know what I mean? No matter what group it is. I just feel like that leads to extreme situations and extreme solutions to problems, if that makes any sense.
Well, consider this. Today is May 21st. We're literally 4 months into the new presidency, the Trump administration. It's only been 4 months. Think about that. It's only
Feels
been
like a lot longer.
Right? In 4 months, Twitter and the internet is now flooded with what you just described.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, there seems to be this vast influx of black fatigue.
Right.
And a vast influx of people of opposing races being violently angry at each other.
Mm-hmm.
Why? For
Why?
what reason?
Right.
What
Right.
instigated this?
Exactly.
They're just suddenly angry at each other?
It's not like situations like what we've experienced in the past 4 months haven't been happening for the past 8 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also take note of the fact that the social media that you scroll is being flooded with it. The algorithm is pushing it. Right?
Right.
Because we know that, day-to-day life, all the people that you know in your life, the people you work with, your family, your friends, right? Yeah. Out of all those people, how many of them are actually experiencing this in real life? 1 out of 20 or less, or non-existent? Yeah, no, it's the internet. The media is putting this upon our minds right now.
The same way that they were dividing people like black and white during the O.J. Simpson thing, they're dividing people
or
again
COVID.
Today. Yeah.
Yes.
And like, even if you look, like the male and female beliefs are like completely divergent. Like men are becoming more right wing and women are becoming like more left wing in general, of course.
Exactly.
It seems to be dividing people in their beliefs, their political ideologies, group affiliations. It's crazy right now what's happening.
And there are things that are blatant that we must combat. So as an example, like the whole transsexualism thing, there's no two ways about that. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. End of story.
And
if
NFTs,
you're trying to push that, NFTs as well, yes. If you're trying to push that, then I don't really care how much of a groundswell there is against you that would normally make my conspiracy spider sense start to tingle. Like if it's a lie, then it must be destroyed. But what we're experiencing now, like what Carbon was saying, is that there's an obvious push to cause racial division amongst the people, specifically of America, because we have such a wide diaspora of races in this country. And even the people who you might suspect are the cause of said racial division, I'm trying to say, even within that group, we have to understand that not everybody is the same or believes those things who belong to that group. That's really all I'm trying to say.
Here's my hypothesis. During a Republican presidency, where things start to stabilize from an economic standpoint, and there's actually a stability occurring that will lead to a better lifestyle for Americans, the media pushes agendas to divide people based upon race and to divide based upon the sexes so that people start hating one another. Frederick also pinpointed it. Media showing men versus women, women not wanting to be married to men, not wanting to be a housewife. Oh, this is slavery. Oh, I'm a sex slave. That's being pushed in the algorithm. Here's proof.
Or on the other side of things, men being like all women are evil and
Yeah.
Men
you know,
going their own way
duplicitous.
and stuff.
Right.
To a degree. During the Biden presidency, by the way, inflation was an issue, right? The economy was an issue. You're telling me that during 4 years of the economy being an issue, there wasn't a catastrophic racial divide? How is that possible? But just prior to that, in 2020, when Trump was still president, you had the summer of George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
And now in 2025, Trump's back, and we have Carmelo Anthony and these videos in which literally they're calling for a race war.
Mm-hmm.
You have black people on TikTok saying,
Dude.
I'm ready for a race war.
Do you
And
remember
this-
Jesse Smollett?
Oh yeah, dude.
That was a race war waiting to happen that failed. He
Mm-hmm.
tried to scam people thinking there was an attempted racist. This is MAGA country, they said in, where was it, Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Chicago.
Yeah. and it
After
was a
he went to get Subway at midnight.
Yeah, like his whole story didn't fit out. They've cut the guys. There were 2 black guys who were working out with them at the gym. Turns out
Right.
he paid them off. And they made up the whole story.
Probably paid him off for a couple of things, just to be honest.
Cha-cha-ching,
They might have had a good time that
You
night.
know, they sure did. Look.
They-
Let me just put it like this. He probably gave them some money and he said, if anybody asks, don't tell. So,
and they used ropes. They used ropes that night as well.
right.
Well, these idiots, he gave them money and they went and bought all the things they needed at the same store.
That's how
So-
dumb these fucking people are.
You have the receipt of all the items, the rope, the this, the that. And they're
God
on
damn.
film.
If
They're
you're
on
going to try to
camera.
start a fake race war, at least put some effort in. Go to the
Dude, I
Hobby
wish
Lobby
I-
down the street instead of Walmart.
You guys need to look it up. There's a video where they interviewed those 2 guys, the 2
Yeah.
black bodybuilders, and they actually reenacted the attack. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Where they show them crossing the street, they're like, "Okay, come, follow me." We cross the street here, and they had the rope out and the gasoline, dude.
Oh
hilarious.
my gosh. Katie Did says, "Hey Commandos, what's up, Katie? How you doing?
How you
Nice
doing,
to see
Katie?
you." Tank Ferret says, "Hail to all you magnificent bastards.
Hey,
There's
Tank,
no Bastets here tonight, so
I got my
Thank you.
first red markings, Tank. You see, I got the idea from him because he's been doing it digitally, but I wanted to break out the red pencil over the blue. Try to
don't
stand
cave.
out the
Keep doing
figure.
things physically, Frederick."
No, but I mean, he's doing it the red on blue digitally, but I wanted to do physically. Yeah.
So what's the red do? I know blue doesn't show up on scanners, so what's the red do?
I think it's the same idea. It's the stand, make your final pencil stand out, whereas the blue is more the layout
Huh.
to get the shape and everything. The red's kind of the final line. Then you can ink over that and get your deepest black. Oh, you're muted.
I said the deepest black.
That's right.
That's what we call George Clinton, everybody.
Did you guys catch the Oval Office thing today?
No.
So
Oh,
the president
man.
of South Africa was invited over there.
Oh, I heard
And then
about it.
the media asked him, like, what do you think? What would make Trump like realize that there's no like killing off farmers in South Africa? And then the president says, well, meeting with us one-on-one in quiet rooms and all that. And Trump has this, slight smile to him. He knows what's coming up. Then he pulls the videos of all the black people down in South Africa calling for the death of the farmers and taking their land, taking possessions and all that. And just putting the evidence in his face is kind of putting his nose in the doo-doo,
Yeah.
And he still denied it, by the way. Even
He said
after
it
those
didn't
videos
happen?
were shown. Well, no, he went around it by saying that the government of South Africa does not support what they said in those videos.
Yeah, and now they're enforcing laws against disinformation so that anyone who says that they are killing off whites will be considered a traitor and killed off, or just
Yeah, listen, I'll put it very simply for the entire continent of Africa. I'll make it very simple for you. Kick out all the white people, right?
Do it.
Kick them all out. Let's see how you guys do in about 30 years.
Yeah.
And the funny thing, I mean, I don't want to bring it all back to this, but they don't have the same opinion of the people with the small hats. They're actually in perfectly good relationships, which is
You know what?
really strange.
You're right. That's an even better idea. Let's do a trade. Send all the white people over here. We're gonna send all the small hats over there.
Oh man. Oh, it's so cringy. Everything is so cringe. It's so like, come on, stop it. Oh, all I can think of is that meme where it's a picture of Matthew McConaughey, except it's been edited so that he looks like Jesus, and he's like ripping a heater really hard, and it just says "flooded again." That's my meme, man.
Yeah, it's the shot from True Detective.
Is it really? I've never watched True Detective.
Oh,
no.
dude, you need to watch the first season of True Detective.
It's HBO, right?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
The rest of the seasons were terrible. Just watch.
That's what I heard. Season. Yeah, I heard the first season's the only worthwhile one.
It's self-contained though. You could just watch the first season. It's amazing, bro.
Okay. Well, let's see here. Let's be really quick about it. We've only given one of our favorite runs now, but I do want to wrap it up pretty soon. So, Carbon, you did Death of Superman. Cool. Frederick, you got another one?
Yeah, let me just pull it out. I got them right over here. So this is a run by I don't know who the writer is. Let's find out. But I do know the artist.
Oh,
you're gonna recognize this guy. Another Mark Teixeira.
This is my Ghost Rider, by the way. This is
I'll have to just
in my
take
mind.
one at
This
a time.
is what he looks like.
Too much. This is, and I've got a commission to draw Ghost Rider soon, so this is going to be my inspiration. Yes. I'm loving this. This is just pure. And this is another artist that has a kind of like loose inking style. You'll see.
Did you say Tex?
Mark Teixeira, I think.
Oh yeah, Mark Teixeira. Okay. Very nice.
Teixeira.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah,
yeah,
he's a great artist. He's really
incredible.
Great.
He's incredible. But he doesn't have those.
I think he did a more recent run of Ghost Rider as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Like how recent? How?
I want to say 18, 19.
Really?
I'd have to go back and look, but I feel like I just read something that he did that was Ghost Rider.
Look at this.
That's beautiful.
So this is the old Ghost Rider here, and he's coming to see the new Ghost Rider, who's the young kid, who's the modern Ghost Rider, and he understands how it works. He knows he's turning into Ghost Rider, and he's like, I know it's not your fault, but I have to kill you to get rid of Ghost Rider, right? Because I used to be him, and now I'm the Ghost Rider hunter, if you will.
That's sick.
Yeah, the story is incredible.
So wait, the first Ghost Rider was Johnny Blaze, wasn't he? And the second one was what's his name?
Yeah, I think you're right. This is the Johnny Blaze, and this is the new kid.
The new guy's name was
Dan.
Oh, shit. Dan
something. Hold on, it probably says here. It's Zarathos I want to kill, but not you.
I'm embarrassed that I don't remember.
Dan, he just calls him Dan. I don't know the last name.
I'm looking it up. Continue.
Yeah, so motorcycle rider. He's got a modern, like Japanese-looking motorcycle. And boom.
Danny Ketch.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Look at this, dude. This isn't your old school 60s Ghost Rider Johnny Blaze. You got the flesh tearing off and burning off, dude. This, how sick is this?
Beautiful.
Like, I gotta zoom in a little bit. This is just crazy beautiful art, man. It's just boom.
That Ghost Rider is in my, and that, what is this, 90s?
Yeah.
This to me was always Ghost Rider. Like I saw this Ghost Rider with his crazy motorcycle with the big old like face on the front of it. So cool.
Yeah. This is before digital coloring, but the colors are pretty good as well.
Yeah.
Look at that. Like super, you feel the emotion, you feel the dynamism. It's
got a Rocketeer advertisement. That's
incredible
crazy,
talent.
dude.
Incredible talent. It's like every
Oof.
issue has got these crazy action poses, the awesome bike shots, and it's it's just oozes of storytelling.
Yeah.
And like, what's cooler than a skull-headed motorcycle driver with flaming
Right.
right?
Crackoom, and he's totally
Yeah.
fine.
The
Doesn't matter.
onomatopoeia.
Look at that. Beautiful.
Incredible, dude. I don't have the whole series for this one. I've just got like
What year is that book specifically, if you can look at it, Frederick?
Yeah, let me grab it again. This is 14 June, and the year is 1991. So early 1990.
The art in that book is fucking phenomenal, dude.
Incredible.
It says that that series with Danny Catches the Ghost Rider was 1990 to 1998.
Yeah, so we're in the beginning still. Look at this. This should be a boring shot. Okay,
Dude, I know, right?
just take the hero and just, make him lean as if he's, about to fall asleep on his motorcycle. Try to make it boring. I said make it boring.
Yeah,
You failed.
right.
It looks
right.
incredible. Look
Sick.
at that. The flame, the emotion,
Spectacular.
the angle, everything is just conveys the feeling of the character. And the boom, right?
Oh, that's sick.
It goes from totally
And his hand being
stable-
chopped off or gone or whatever, and it's flaming as it comes. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
And again, the flesh coming back like wax, like hot wax on the face. And yeah, catch Barbara. It's probably his mom or his sister or
Mhm.
something.
Oh wow.
Look at that onomatopoeia, like boom, 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 boom. And you got almost McFarlane kind of panels, right? Like lots of vertical
right.
splices. He was
Really
almost
thin,
also
yeah.
experimenting a lot. Like he's one of those artists. I don't know why he didn't go to Image. I think he could have been one of those Image artists. I mean, he has the
Wow.
chops. Look at this.
He's so brilliant. Yeah, this stuff is amazing.
Like he's got just placing the camera underneath, got the lighting, got the emotion. Character's kind of emotionless, but you feel that very much. So the drawing is not emotionless, And then Hobgoblin,
Wait, that's not the Hob. Is that the? No, wait a minute.
the vengeful wrath of the Hobgoblin. Yeah.
Who the fuck is that?
Sick.
That's not Hobgoblin. Hobgoblin's not undead like that. Go turn back to that page. Let me look at that page. Which Hobgoblin? I mean, I know there's Roderick Kingsley. There's all, Jason Macendale. Which one is that? I've never
He's
seen
got that lizardy kind of look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's very. It's a beautiful image, but I've never. I've got to read this because I need to know which Hobgoblin that is. Hobgoblin, by the way, is a poser, just for the folks at home. And a lot of people are like, Hobgoblin's really cool. He's not. He's
There you
not
go.
as cool as the
Blasphemy! You dare to desecrate a holy place with your violence, with your false religion. For that, sinners, you will all die. Great
Oh.
dialogue.
So a religious Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
Hobgoblin on crack, says Wolfenbear. Yeah, look at him. He's, geez. That is like the oh yeah. But
Okay,
I
it
feel like he took that
references
from. Go
it
ahead.
references Spider-Man #7. So this is McFarlane's Hobgoblin.
Okay. If I recall correctly, because if I'm being brutally honest with you folks, when I went through McFarlane's Spider-Man run, I did not read it. I just looked at it
Yeah.
because reading it's hard. Like it's not enjoyable. I think he's like actually an undead or something. He's like some kind of mystic. Look at the way he draws Spider-Man.
Yeah, right.
Ooh.
Freaking perfect.
Oh man. Go to the last page, the page before this.
Before.
Although that picture is really cool, Spider-Man. Look, yeah, he's like got him in. Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And I got one last one if we got time. Number 22. So I had 14, 16, and 22. And this is one I picked up in Tennessee this last summer. I went to visit Nashville.
Beautiful.
Look at this.
Look at that shot.
It's
Oh.
straight off the first page. Patum, pating, Buddha, Buddha, brat. Death's eyes. Mackie texts.
Dude.
Ash shots don't usually work, but it kind of works in this case because you get all the baddies at the bottom there. Death Watch. And look,
Death
this
Watch.
is just
The Mandalorians are fighting him now. That's a joke.
Look at this. This is just to convey like a memory or an idea, right?
Yeah. And it's a sick picture.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. This is just another, like, the 90s was top.
Babes are hot.
Here. 90s, like, artists had to, like, work off of everything that had come in the previous 3 to 4 decades. But they've got to make it original and new and fresh.
Like some shots like this are not as strong. Like that's not the strongest shot, but it makes up for it. Like when you see stuff.
Oh,
like
hello.
this, when you turn the page and you see something beautiful like that.
I'd like to see this book without the ads.
Yeah. Think about this though. We think nowadays about like, okay, this is left page, this is right page. Can you imagine how stressful it would be?
I think the
working
editor
for
had
Marvel and DC and being like, hey, which page is going to be an ad? And they're like, we don't know.
They knew in the beginning, like like for the first few pages, you can know which page it's going to be on, and then it's up to the editor.
Really? So they don't tell you, and the editor's just got to like figure it out for himself?
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible. What if you've got like something that you purposefully were like, okay, these 2 pages are right next to each other. They go from left to right. And then the editor's like, no, we got to put an ad for fucking.
But you know what though? They never fucked up a double page spread. Man. I can tell you that.
At least they always had the double pages together. Yeah.
But as an artist, that'd probably be so stressful.
It was. I heard Claude talk about that. It's not there's a lot of stuff that was part of the job. Like, you don't think about it when you're an indie because when you're an indie.
Unless, of course, you get your wife to put an advertisement on your comic book.
Well, yeah, if she had an Etsy selling jewelry or something.
Right.
You want to show how beta you are by putting your wife's ad in your superhero comic selling jewelry. Right? I mean, this is just hypothetically, of course.
Hypothetically speaking, of course. Oh, that's funny. But that brilliant artwork, dude. I've got to go check that issue out now. That whole
I want to get more of the Teixeira run for sure. I've only got 3.
Okay, I've got one thing I want to show you guys. This is my favorite. I'd say my favorite comic book writer. I'm not going to say of all time. It's a hard thing. There's so many people and there's so many, like, sometimes there's a swing and a miss with something they've written, and sometimes it's just beautiful, amazing stuff. I would say of all the comic book writers that I've read, this is the guy who delivers in such a way that I'm constantly like, wait a minute, who wrote this? And then I look it up and oh, it's that guy. Because oftentimes I just like, I'll look at the character and I'll choose the character and I'll read the comic book based off the character. And then I'll be like, okay, so who drew this and who wrote it? But this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Ultimates. This is obviously for those. I mean, people at home probably already know this. Yeah, that's not going to happen. We're more likely to discuss our least favorite. Actually, no, we have a guest next week. So, but anyway, this is the Ultimates series. Ultimates were a thing in the early 2000s that essentially Marvel was trying to, I guess, kind of rebrand or make a version of their superheroes for quote unquote modern audiences. But not like the way people make things for modern audiences these days. It was just kind of like a reboot in the modern world of all of these Marvel characters. And this was written by Mark Miller, and it was illustrated by Brian Hitch. And it's just absolutely stunning stuff. Brian Hitch is, I mean, these are all pictures, by the way, of the actual comic that I have. So if you see like shine on it, that's because of the gloss of the page.
That's also a strong shot. They're just standing there, but it's really well designed.
Yeah. And he makes these people look cool. Like Hawkeye is so lame, but he made Hawkeye really cool in this comic. Quicksilver's costume, I really love Quicksilver, and Scarlet Witch. Black Widow's awesome. Captain America's costume in the Ultimates is like my favorite Captain America ever. Let's see. I've got a lot of shots of the Ultimates. This is him dropping in oh,
that's cool, man.
Yeah, it's so sick.
I can almost hear the wind like as he's falling.
Look, did you notice too? He does not have a parachute.
But he's got straps on, though. He does have a parachute. What are you talking about?
He has a strap.
Oh, it's his shield.
Right. He wears like modern combat gear. And that was like the main difference between the Ultimate Captain America and the old ones, is that this one, he actually has a utility belt. He's got guns strapped to him. He's got straps like this holding his shield in place. And that whole like he doesn't have a parachute thing was then adapted for the which movie was it? I think it was Winter Soldier. Was it Winter Soldier, or was it the first Avengers movie where they're like, no, it was Winter Soldier. That's right, because Crossbones is like, did he just drop out without a parachute? And they're like, yeah, he did. He doesn't have a parachute. Really cool. That's not the last picture I have, is it? Okay. Well, that's one of the last pictures. Anyway, just beautiful art. You can see the helicarrier there and the Triskelion, the Shield headquarters there.
Oh, dude, that's a lot of detail.
Yeah. There's a lot of splash pages like this in this series. This series did a thing where it was like, obviously it modernized things. It introduced flaws to certain characters. To everybody, actually, that a lot of people they weren't a fan of because it was somewhat, what's the word? Deconstructionist in the way it worked. Like, for instance, Hank Pym here, he's a bit of he abuses drugs and alcohol, and he beats his wife, and that, the Wasp. And so that was like a thing a lot of people didn't like. I never liked Giant Man to begin with. So I was like, oh yeah, this kind of makes sense. He's upset about how he couldn't create a good Hulk serum. So he beats his wife because he's not really that talented. I really loved this series for a lot of reasons. The writing is spectacular. The characters are spectacular. The way they make the Avengers flawed beings that all like kind of have to work together, even though they don't really want to. I really liked that. A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people like the blue sky superhero kind of thing. And I will say the Ultimate Fantastic Four, like I've read that series. I enjoy it to a degree, but there is an aspect of me that's like, you got to have one superhero team that's like, they're all actually good people. So that was probably my main complaint with the Ultimate Universe. Ultimate Spider-Man, like somebody had mentioned before, is one of the best series. I love that series so much. And actually, Peter Parker's not a shitbag in that. He's a bit of a beta male, let's be real, because that was something that had been decided that was going to be propagandized to people from the early 2000s onwards to try to make men like, yeah, you're not allowed to hit on women. You're not allowed to like, you have to be like kind of like, well, what we all know now today is a beta male. Iron Man in this series is a giant alcoholic. He's, got his Playboy, kind of issues and stuff. He's got a lot of issues, and he actually suffers for his issues.
When you
which
say
I think is
Playboy
cool.
issues, you make me think of he's got magazines copies.
He
of
probably
Playboy.
does. No, but like in this series, for instance, like he's all about the Playboy life and the sexy women and all that. And Black Widow comes into his life, and she like kind of gets involved with him, and he's like, oh wow, like a woman who understands.
Dude, why didn't they make that movie like Scarlett Johansson and fucking Robert Downey Jr.?
It gets even better because this is Ultimates 1. Ultimates 1 is its own thing. It's one thing. And then Ultimates 2, they reveal that Black Widow is actually a double agent. And she has been using Tony Stark the whole time to get a suit of Iron Man armor so she can give it to the Russian government. And she betrays him. It is so cool. Like I know that people maybe, they want their 616, everybody likes each other kind of thing. But I was a really big fan of the twists and turns that are allowed by taking these characters everybody knows and kind of switching them up a bit. And also, I think this is a hot take that this Iron Man suit is the greatest Iron Man suit of all time. The ultimate Iron Man suit. Do I have a better picture of it? Yeah. That suit is sick. It's so cool.
You think that's the greatest Iron Man suit?
I think that's the best. That's my favorite Iron Man suit ever. I think that's the coolest one.
I don't know, the mask.
That helmet. The helmet's a little.
I know you got. I know. I like it. I think it's cool.
When you talk about Universe 616, the only person it makes me think of is Chris Chan, who's always referring
Is he
to
really?
this reality.
No, but see, like I read comic books from this. Like when I was a kid, I only read like modern comic books when I became. When I went to like high school, like late high school and early college is when I started reading modern comic books.
Right.
My whole life I'd read all the 60s stuff. That's it. The 60s,
nice.
70s, 80s. And so for me, like the 616 is Marvel. So I understand,
Well, it is. That's the standard universe that it is. Yeah.
But so I can look at this and stuff and appreciate it because it's slightly different.
When did they start referring to that? Because
I don't
throughout
know.
all the Marvel books I've read, I've never heard of that reference. I heard that starting in the movies. That's
no.
Yeah.
No. Like it's been a thing for a while, way before the movies.
But I stopped reading comics towards the end of the 90s. Like everything was turning kind of manga-ish for a while, and they were like the storylines were kind of getting weird. Like Spider-Man, I used to like him, but then he had a weird clone called Ben who came into the picture, and
Ben Reilly. There's actually
in
the original Cyberfrog called Ben Reilly.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I think he was making fun of them.
I believe that the multiple universes were introduced in the 80s. Because in the 80s is when they started actually mentioning other universes, and you had Crises.
Stuff with the Secret Wars and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. DC and Marvel both did it at the same time. It kind of became a gimmick at the same. I think that's when 616 was first mentioned.
And I think it took off with the whole What If series.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Wrangler says, "Got to call it a night. Have a good one, everybody, and God bless." Thank you, Wrangler. God bless you.
Wrangler. Thanks for coming down.
Man.
A lot of differences in characters. Captain America in this series is well, actually, let me keep going down the line here. Yeah, okay, so this is one of my favorite two pages of Captain America ever. He's fighting this essentially a Nazi alien. It's hard to describe. Just read the book. You should just read the book.
I think this is a famous couple of pages because I've seen
it is.
This.
Yes.
Yeah, this is shown a lot.
Yeah, because the Nazi goes, "Just surrender, Captain Rogers." And you see him, he punches it. Surrender? You think this letter on my head stands for France?
Does not say that.
It does. Look at it. It does.
That's bigoted.
It's fucking sick, dude.
Racism.
That's great.
Oh my gosh, I
That's
love this.
beautiful,
This-
though. I love
Yeah,
the shot there. Yeah.
It's a great
I
page.
love that shit.
And
It's
it's
oh,
super realistic, but it doesn't not at the cost of the emotion. You know what I
Right.
mean?
and this is the brilliance of this version of Captain America. He's like top level, like he's like 100% MAGA Captain America. You know what I mean? If you guys go back and you read this series, you'll see he's like 100% MAGA Captain America, and it's really interesting to see that like hyper patriotic, hyper nationalistic version of this character. And I it's cool. I like it. I love seeing this stuff because it's
Make the Avengers great again.
yeah, exactly. Fantastic stuff. And then I moved past. So then we have the Ultimate Hulk. This is actually my favorite Ultimate character because it is what I think the character ought to be. The Ultimate Hulk is gray, by the way. He is he was an attempt by Bruce Banner to make the super soldier serum that made Captain America, but it was a failed attempt, and he used gamma radiation, so that, he ends up being the Hulk. The problem with the Hulk, by the way, this is the not the Shi'ar, the who were the bad guys in the first Avenger movie? The aliens, and they were called. Anyway,
Skrulls? Was it the
no,
Skrulls?
no, it wasn't the Skrulls. It was
Shiites.
Those are Muslims.
well, they're aliens. You got something right.
Yeah, leave it. Okay.
But essentially, the Ultimates, the first two Ultimates volumes, are what the Avengers movie ended up being. Really, if you go read those, you'll see that's pretty much the same thing. The only exception is the Hulk, who this is like actually the biggest drawback of the Avengers movies is that the Hulk in those comics, or in these comics, he is like the epitome of the 7 deadly sins. He is gluttonous, lustful, slothful. He's all the worst aspects of any person ever. So actually, before they even face off against this alien army, which is led by this alien Nazi that I told you guys about, before they even face off against them, they have to fight the Hulk, because the Hulk goes on a rampage in New York, and they have to like stop him. And he's literally trying to eat people. He says when he's fighting Iron Man, he tries to tear open Iron Man's armor, and he says something like, "I'm gonna suck your brains out like the yolk out of an egg." And it's like, oh my god, like fuck,
that's badass.
It's crazy,
I remember that
dude.
line. Yeah, that's another quoted moment.
Yes, he gets distracted because Wasp shows him her boobs, and like so he starts to follow her. Like he's very lustful. He's always trying to go after Betty Ross. This version of the Hulk is like I think it's the coolest, because I never thought the Hulk was a good guy. I've never thought he was a good guy. I mean, the first time I saw him was in a Fantastic Four comic where he was fighting them, and I was like, fuck him up, thing. Like, beat his ass. Because he's just, he's just constantly whining, or he's constantly being angry about things. So I've always thought the Hulk was like a bitch. Like, he's just a bad guy, and he needs to be beaten.
Be right back, Rick.
But anyway, here's some cool shots from this comic book. It's fantastic stuff. Utterly okay, yeah. So this is Hulk at the end of issue 2. Naked guy went and made Hulk angry. So what happens is, it's so great, dude. So I showed you guys all these spaceships. All these spaceships show up above where everybody's fighting, and like Shield and the Avengers, or the Ultimates as they're actually called in this, they're totally screwed. They have no way of defeating all these guys. So what Cap does is he says, he's like, Hulk, those aliens called you gay. And Hulk is like, Hulk is not gay. Hulk likes women. And he jumps up and destroys all the spaceships and wins the fight for everybody, because Cap tricks him into doing it. And it's just, oh my gosh. I don't know. Some people may not like this version. I think this is like the version of Hulk. And the Ultimates was a really brilliantly written series. Mark Miller, it was one of his biggest first things. It wasn't his first thing, but it was one of the first things he did that was like pretty big. and it's just I love it so much, and I know it's real deconstructionist for a lot of people, but some deconstruction is worthwhile sometimes. And when you've had, what was it at that point? It was 40 years of same old, same old. Not to say same old's bad, but sometimes it's cool to see like a fresh take on things. So yeah, that's now there's like 7 more comic books I could bring up. I could bring up the Uncanny X-Men. I could bring up Punisher War Journal. I could bring up the Punisher series with Steve Dillon as the artist. I could bring up Ultimate Spider-Man. I could bring up any like Fantastic Four John Byrne, Fantastic Four Lee Kirby. I could bring up any number of things. But these are just some things that
like John Byrne had a freaking good Fantastic Four run.
John Byrne is everything John Byrne touches is good. We could just have a whole show about John Byrne sometime. But and that's actually, as a person who loves the Lee Kirby run, like with an almost religious fervor, you go into other people's Fantastic Four iterations and you're like, nah, like, yeah, there's some cool things in here, but this still isn't as good as Lee and Kirby. But John Byrne did it. Like he did it. Like he made it a series that is right up there with Lee and Kirby.
Man.
He is. He really is. He's a legend amongst men, and we're lucky to have had him be born on this planet and to be in comics. So, but anyway, that's the Ultimates. There, one of my favorite comic book series. There are, if you go on eBay, you can find. I've got the volumes. It's like 4 of them. There's Ultimates 1, which is 2 volumes, and there's Ultimates 2, which essentially talks about how the rest of the world is like, wait a minute, you all have a superhero team? Fuck this. Like, we've got to make our own superheroes. And then actually, like a combination of world powers try to overthrow the United States with their own superheroes. It's super cool. You guys should check it out if you
Cold
can.
War of Superheroes.
It's called actually I forgot what it's called, but it's pretty cool. It's so sick. You guys should check it out. Like the Russians have their own Thor, and I think it's the French have their own Captain America or whatever. It's really, really cool. You guys should check it out. And it's Mark Miller. His writing is always like sometimes maybe he engages in how would I put it? Like writing cheat codes, if you will. You'll notice when you notice. You know what I mean? Like you'll be like, oh, okay, you're doing that same formula there. But
yeah,
it's always good. It's always enjoyable to read. So
you got to have that a little bit, especially if you're going to have a long career of being a writer. You have to go back to the classics, I guess. What works is what.
Yes. So that's. I think we're going to cut it off for the evening, ladies and gentlemen. That was a lot of fun. And we could keep going. There's so many more things we could talk about and keep going. But
every now and then we should have an episode like this, man. There's stuff to look at for sure.
And we should have a dedicated John Byrne episode someday.
We should. I would also like to do a dedicated, like, least favorite comic book runs show. That'd be fun too. Like I hated this, and talk about that. That'd be cool.
Talk about ISOM?
No. Like legitimate comic books.
Biggest letdowns in comics.
Yeah.
That could be good. I have a secondary box with lesser good comics. I could go through that and see, because I did order when I was a kid. There was like a box of assorted comics you could get for Christmas, and I got that. And there's a couple of good ones, but most of them were kind of letdowns a little bit.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, whenever we don't have a guest, I try to get as many guests on as I can. I have been a little lax recently just because I'm super focused on finishing out Phenomenon, but we'll get back into it. You guys know I bring guests on as many as I can.
Close out on Saturday, right?
That's right. Oh, I should probably mention this.
Pimp it a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, Phenomenon number 2. We are closing out Saturday night. The official closeout for the Fund My Comic Book page is 1 p.m. on Sunday, 1 p.m. my time, so that would be 2 p.m. for everybody else. 2 p.m. EST is the official closeout of Phenomenon on Sunday. But we're doing our closeout show Saturday night.
Yeah.
Please join us. It's going to be a fun time. You know, I'm going to try to have some subjects other than my comic to talk about. It'll be a good time. We'll try to have some people on. Hopefully I'll get Peter Gilmore, Paul Ravoche. We'll see. And, you know, people have schedules, so I don't know who can actually pop on or not. But it'd be cool to have everybody who's worked with me on this in Comicsgate on here. So, yeah, show up on Saturday, folks. And I appreciate everybody being here. I think what I'll do is I'll play the trailer for Phenomenon 2, and then we'll call it a night. So thank you, Carbon. Thank you, Frederick, for being here. Thank you, chat. You guys are amazing. Fantastic people. Thank you for being here. God bless and have a good night. See, I switched out of the tab and it. Oh, what are you doing?
I added the video to my StreamYard straight so I could one button push it.
Yeah, you're smarter than I am. Okay, so it goes like this. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, Phenomenon! That's how it goes.
So the great thing, if you get the comic does not lag. There, you can read it. You can read it straight in front of your eyes. All the images are preloaded on the pages, printed. We call it. It's an old technology, but it still checks out.
It still checks out. Have a
No
good night,
technical
folks.
difficulties on the book.
Right. Peace out, everybody.
Good night.